Live from Deathray Studios in the sunny West Valley of Phoenix, it's Late Night with the Davey. Appearing on tonight's show, YouTube content creator Daniel from the COBWEBS channel. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Davey Deathray. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here for another edition of Late Night with the Davey, or as I like to say it, Late Night with the Davey. It's like Running with the Devil by Van Halen. Trust me on that one. It just works. Really appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us here tonight. I know there's a lot of streamers going on, a lot of folks who I'm friends with that are on live right now and doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, the Terrifier 3 trailer dropped today. And so, yeah, people have been very busy and hopping all around. You spending your time with us here on Late Night is really, really cool. So thank you guys so much. I see we got a Cheesy Corn Pop hanging out. How's it going, Cheesy Corn? Great to see you. As always, love your icon there. And we got Mr. Aaron Click, longtime subscriber, friend of the channel, of course. Aaron, really appreciate you tuning into those premieres, man. It's really fun to, throw those out there and just see what the heck happens. We're still such a relatively small channel, but each time I put out a video, it's like, it's a brand new chance just to see what the hell can happen. So, and yeah, really appreciate you guys. I wasn't sure, as far as like all the, reaction kind of stuff goes, if that's really something that I should keep on pursuing. That's why I kind of threw it out to you guys. Do you want me to do reactions, or do you just want me to talk about it like here in shows like this in our little monologue section of Late Night? You guys wanted the reactions, so there you go. One for the new Joker trailer and one for Terrifier 3 as well. And guys, before we get into the whole rest of the show here and bring on our guest, I do want to talk about Gotham Noir for just a moment because, we finished up our Kickstarter campaign, and Kickstarter, the way that they work over there is, it's all or nothing. You either reach your goal and get all the money, or you don't and you get nothing, and everyone is reimbursed. So unfortunately, we did not reach our goal on Kickstarter. And so everyone was reimbursed the money that they had pledged for those perks. And what we did is we moved everything on over to Indiegogo. So I wanted to share that with you guys here really quick, just so I can, show you what the new site looks like. So we pretty much have, all the same perks and everything. You're going to find the same packages. If you had supported the film during its Kickstarter run, you can come on over here to Indiegogo and grab that as well. I will drop the link here in the chat, and then, and yeah, you can check out the trailer here, photos, all that kind of great stuff. The cool thing about Indiegogo is they allow you to have stretch goals. So what we can do is at the end of this campaign, everything that we've earned, we'll be able to fulfill those perks, and we'll be able to, hopefully we reach that goal. But even if we don't, we'll be able to fund the film, with that amount of money there that we earned through that crowdfunding campaign. So, I believe in this project so much that I basically kind of willed my way into it. Just interviewed Chris, Daniello, and Sarah after they had put out their Uncharted fan film called The Oxus Redemption, which I really enjoyed. And it was made for like $7,000, which is crazy to me when you see the production value. So, just interviewed them about their filmmaking, found out that they were, talking about this Gotham Noir project. And I told them I want to get involved. We just kept on talking about it. And I'm fortunate enough to be there as a producer and also lend my voice to some of the teaser material here. I do the voice of a character called Jack Ryder, who you might remember from the Arkham Asylum games. And I put a little bit of a different spin because this is a 1900s, Batman film, and it's a horror Batman film. Kind of getting those like collector Saw type vibes, a little bit of Seven even. So if you're interested in seeing that kind of Batman, something that you've never seen on the big screen before, then hop on over to the campaign. I will pop it into the chat here, and that way you can check it out from there. But yeah, I feel like you guys have heard me talk about Gotham Noir so much. So let's take a little break from that. Plenty more to come from the Gotham Noir front here. Yeah, we got Eli Cortez in the chat. What's happening, Eli? Great to see you, my guy. I have to wet my whistle already. I do a bunch of talking for my job, so some days throat's just a little bit drier. And of course, you guys know it's, you know, middle of the summer here in the Phoenix area. Right now, it's, let's see, it says it's 91. Oh no, real feel is 106. And here I am wearing a blazer. I really, you know, picked a great time of year to start this kind of show. But I wanted to look handsome for all you guys, so I think it's worth it. All right. Yeah, Aaron, Gotham Noir. I mean, that's the way to do it if you're doing a fan film, right? You have to put some sort of spin on it, or really like give the fans something that they're probably never going to get from a studio, which I think is the great thing about fan films. I mean, one of the great things. I think the other big great thing for fan films is technology and you know, prowess behind the camera just seems to grow for people that maybe haven't had that technical training or don't have access to like big studio cameras and, you know, everything that you would have if you had millions of dollars at your disposal. And we got Ashton Luck in the chat. What's happening, Ashton? Need to take a sip off my dad's root beer, which is, it was in the freezer and it's already like room temperature. What's happening, Raymond? Great to see you. Everyone's saying hi to each other. That's great. Yeah, guys. So I'm really pumped about tonight's guest because you guys have heard me say so much that, you know, I watch YouTube all the damn time, but I watch a whole bunch of different stuff. So sometimes there's something that's just like hanging out in my blind spot. I have no idea until YouTube decides to show this person's channel to me. So a lot of stuff I miss because I'm watching like sports stuff, video games, film, horror, maybe some politics thrown in there too. Why the heck not? And people that play instruments very impressively, like what is his name? Like Frank Tedesco or something like that. Is that the guy that plays piano on Omegle and just like blows people's minds? I'm all over the place. So a couple months ago, though, YouTube was nice enough to show me this great channel called the COBWEBS Channel. And this guy, Daniel, that runs the channel, man, if I could only have like 1% of that stream of consciousness power that he has when he talks about movies, it's absolutely incredible. It's like you could make this guy watch like 10 movies in a day, and then he could sit down and tell you the exact plot for each one without getting confused. It is a marvel to behold. If you guys haven't checked him out, you can subscribe by following the link in the description below. I would say that Daniel's channel, if you're a horror fan, absolutely, it's for you. If you're a physical media nerd, 100% you have to check out his channel. And then even if you're just like a classic movie fan, you want to know about maybe some stuff you missed from decades and decades ago, like almost 100 years ago, Daniel's channel is the place to find it. He's really passionate about it, and it's really cool to see. So yeah, I've been watching him for a couple months, really enjoying everything I see over there. And yeah, we're fortunate enough to welcome Daniel from the COBWEBS channel here on the show tonight. I'll bring him right in. There you are.
Hey man, how's it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for doing the show. I know, you know, life is busy for everyone that's doing YouTube, regardless of where they're at. You have found awesome success with your channel for a great reason, and you're a family guy. So I really appreciate you carving out the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you for looking handsome for all of us tonight.
I try, man. I try. It's you know, it's a cross that I bear. You know, what can I do? So, you know, one of the things that stood out to me right away is, are you, so I ask a lot of people this, and maybe I'm just reaching, but are you a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000?
I'm really not. I know a lot of people are, but I don't understand the appeal of like watching a movie, but also listen to people make jokes during it. Like if I want that experience, I'll probably just watch a movie with friends. But when I watch a movie, I kind of just want to watch a movie. So I don't know. Gotcha. I never really got the appeal of it.
Yeah, well, and I ask because a lot of the movie, like I'll see you cover movies on the channel, and I'm like, oh, that's a movie I've seen on Mystery Science Theater 3000. And like,
oh, okay.
It's in a weird way, like I found that show when I was in like middle school, you know, in like the early 90s, early to mid 90s. And it actually like gave me an appreciation. Like I'm like, I kind of like movies that just try and don't quite get there. Like I love the ambition. Like just go ahead and like make your art, and even like a bad movie has a place. Which is something that I clearly, see on your channel, where there might be, something you're talking about and you're like, it's like kind of corny. It's from the 60s, but I really enjoy it. And like, I love, that kind of outlook, because I think a lot of people just sort of get caught up in the, is it good or is it bad? And is there really anything as like any such thing as a bad movie, Daniel?
I'm kind of the kind of person where like if I like a movie, then I pretty much don't think it's bad. And then a lot of people will, and they'll be like, well, it's bad because this. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. That's kind of part of the charm. I think you put it all together, it's good. So I'm glad Mystery Science Theater gave you an appreciation for those kind of movies, because I'm like such a nerd where I'm just like, hey, I like those movies. Like, stop dunking on those guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, you had brought up, I saw your, you had subscribed to Vinegar Syndrome, your latest video that you put out there, and you talk about Reptilicus, and I'm like, oh, I've seen Reptilicus. It's actually when they brought Mystery Science Theater back like 5 years ago.
I just watched it, actually.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I liked it, actually. I heard it was terrible, so I did not have high hopes, but like the special effects are technically terrible. But for me, with a horror movie, if the effects are practical, then like 99.9% of the time, I'm going to like it. So like the effects are just like this little puppet monster just kind of hopping along like all these miniature houses and stuff. But like, I found that very enjoyable, like I kind of found that more enjoyable than just watching. Like for me, like I'm not into most of the modern kaiju movies, because like I just feel like I'm watching a cartoon. It's just like it's just CGI. But when it's something physical, I just think it's fun, and the characters are like kind of charming, and it's a Danish American co-production. So there's this whole sequence where these characters just go out for a day on the town in Denmark, and it's like the movie stops for an infomercial for Denmark tourism. And it's like very charming. I was like, this does look like a nice place. I kind of want to go there.
Yeah, it's like here's a little advertisement for from the tourism industry. They put it in the rider. You had to get that in Reptilicus.
That's exactly what it is. I think it's because like, Danish people are making it, and they knew they had partnered with an American company to like distribute it. So they're like, we need to sell our country in addition to selling this movie. It was interesting.
Yeah, it's like Mac and me giving McDonald's the the floor there for a minute for a whole like music video production, pretty much.
Yeah, there's a bad movie I've actually never seen. I've seen like the YouTube clips, I've seen the kid go on the wheelchair like down the cliff, but I've never actually seen the movie.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's no ET, that's for sure.
Sure.
Now, I also, so you and
Vinegar Syndrome releases it, I'll buy it and I'll watch it.
Yeah. If Vinegar, okay. Well, maybe they will. That's one of the interesting things that you were talking about in that video is like you kind of blind buy some of these if they just look like they're sort of up your alley.
Oh yeah, that's mostly what I do, honestly, is blind buying stuff.
And then you're like, I watched all those Amicus videos, like I had no idea that stuff even existed. I'm like, I thought I was a horror fan, and I had no idea that there were like dozens of these anthologies. That's it, seemingly for like almost 2 decades straight, or a decade and a half straight, just a whole bunch of anthologies. If you had to pick, like, if someone were like, Daniel, what 3 anthologies should I work into my spooky season rotation? Which ones would you tell them to check out?
Are we talking about Amicus anthologies, or are we just talking about anthologies in general?
It can be whichever. Yeah, it can be whichever. That just sort of kicked off my thought, because I know you also dove into like the Tales from the Crypt, and was there a Vault of Horror as well?
Yeah, those are Amicus too, actually.
Oh, they are. Okay.
They are, yeah, which is interesting because Tales from the Crypt became like a big TV show in the 90s, but it was originally comic books, but then it was just like this Amicus movie in the 70s. Yeah, I'm going to say I will throw in, you know what? I almost want to say Tales from the Crypt, but I'm actually not. I'm going to throw in what's actually my favorite Amicus anthology, which is The House That Dripped Blood, which all centers around this kind of spooky house. And it opens up with this inspector coming to investigate a disappearance. And the realtor is like, oh, there have been all of these terrible things that have happened in this house. And then you get different stories. And every story is good. Like, and that's pretty remarkable for an anthology. So I really love that one. It's got Peter Cushing and it's got Christopher Lee. So it's got those classic icons that people are going to recognize. And then I'm going to go more modern for the 80s. I think I can reach it. Yeah. So here's an underrated one I like. It's called After Midnight. I just randomly watched this on streaming one day, and it's good. All of the interesting thing, it has no supernatural elements. So all of the segments are like, you know, things that can happen. I think there's one where some wild dogs, and then there's one with killers and such. And it's also an interesting one because the wraparound becomes the final segment. It's about like these students going to their teacher's house to, like, you know, hear more. I think he's like a teacher of like English or folklore or something like that, to hear stories. And it's another one where all the segments are good. So I really like that one. And then I'm just gonna throw in the classic. It's maybe my favorite anthology, which is Tales from the Dark Side. Amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, nice. Hell yeah. Great mix there. And I see here Eli pops in. He says Tales from the Dark Side. There he is. Yeah. Creep Show and Body Bags. You know, I still haven't seen Body Bags, and I have no good reason for not having seen it. Have you seen that one? Should I check it out?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fun. Two of the segments are directed by John Carpenter, and then one's Tobe Hooper. It's kind of interesting because like the first segment almost feels like John Carpenter reworking Halloween, and it's really good. And then the final segment is Tobe Hooper, and it's starring Mark Hamill, and it's like super, super dark. And then the middle segment is this really goofy thing about this guy who's going bald, and he gets this like experimental drug to grow out his hair. And, you know, it gets zany from there, and it's real goofy. So it's kind of like, it's real totally inconsistent, but it's fun. And John Carpenter actually acts in it as like our Crypt Keeper host.
Yeah.
Stories.
Yeah, I've seen like a review or coverage on it, and I'm like, well, that's kind of fun because he just always, I know everyone says like John Carpenter is just such a grump. So it's fun to see him have a little bit of fun. And then I mean, Creep Show.
Oh, for sure. And it's fun to see him like,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Creepshow's awesome. I was gonna say, I think everybody thinks of John Carpenter as like a terrible actor because if you watch him in The Fog, it's like this infamously terrible moment where he's like, "Father, can I get paid?" And he's like very embarrassed by that moment, but he brings it in Body Bags. I think he's probably not capable of acting seriously, but like he can ham it up, you know.
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, it's like like you said, the Crypt Keeper kind of vibe. So he just gets to be silly and over the top. We got Jamie Hart in the chat. What's happening, Jamie?
Hello, Jamie.
Great to see you. Looks like what movie did you see? The running joke is that Jamie Hart has seen every movie in the theater. Oh, Mac and Me. That. There you go. Yep, saw Mac and Me in the theater. Where you at, Jamie? And then she showed up. And then we got Mark from Tales from the Shelf. How you doing, Mark? Great to see you. Great to see you. He was last week's guest. We talked for like 2.5 hours, Daniel. It was wild. That's why I had to reach out and ask you. Like, dude, be real with me because I can go forever. Especially if we're on the same wavelength. Like, it's dangerous, man.
Sure. He followed me on Instagram right after you shared this. So what's up, man? Yeah.
Mark, if you have not checked out Daniel's channel, man, get ready for the rabbit hole. It's like my go-to now. I'm like, there's a plethora of videos in there. Oh man, it's especially when I'm like, damn you, YouTube, why did you hide this from me for so long? You know, like I'll sit there and like reload just to like try to find something new, and they always reload the same couple videos, and I'm like, no, give me something new. So yeah, really pumped to have stumbled upon your channel. And I gotta ask, like, I don't know if you must have heard the intro where I'm like, you could probably watch 10 movies a day and then recite the plots without, missing a beat or getting confused. Do you like low key write little notes or scripts, or do you have a teleprompter, or like, what's your secret, man? Cause it's just like, it's astounding to me. When I watch one of your videos, I'm like, all right, dude, better step up your game. Shit.
Oh, thanks, dude. I write notes most of the time, but just like a few like little bullet points. If I'm doing a video that's like a dedicated review on one movie, then I definitely have notes. But again, it's just bullet points. I never write scripts because if I like committed myself to writing scripts, I mean, I would never make another video because it would just take me too long. But then if I'm doing a video where I'm like talking about a lot of movies, then I'll often not write any notes and I'll just, hold it up and just say a few things about it and put it back down. So yeah, that's basically the process. And then also like, if I'm doing like, I do a lot of ranking lists. So if there's a movie I want to talk about that I don't remember very well, I will try to rewatch it. Because I always want to have something to say about any movie that I bring up rather than just be like, oh, I remember it was pretty good, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I noticed that is something that you're good at. Like I watched your, one of the first videos I watched of you was your Nightmare on Elm Street ranking. And I just noticed every time you brought up one of the movies, like you had something interesting to say about all of them. It wasn't just like, oh, Freddy's kind of funny in it, blah, blah, blah. So you're good at that too, for sure, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, always just try to find like something that stands out, right? I mean, I think that's the key is like just, it can be tough sometimes. And yeah, there have been times where like I play around with, am I going to write a script or not? And really sometimes it's like, you know what, I'll give it a good watch or two and then I'll just let it kind of fly. Cause I don't know, like I've always been that guy. Like I don't, when me and my friends were hanging out in high school in the late 90s or whatever, I was the guy that was like, let's watch The Evil Dead. Like, let's rent Halloween 6 for some ungodly reason. Like, let me talk to you guys about movies, and like my friends would sit around in a semicircle as I just like talked. Like, were you that way growing up? Were you the kind of guy that was like into movies and you have like a group of friends or maybe even like your family that you really like connected with film with that kind of propelled your passion?
Sure. Yeah. When I was like a little kid, I was basically exactly the same as I am now. So very into movies, very into monsters, more into superheroes then than I am now, to be honest. That's one thing that's kind of faded for me a little bit. But yeah, and I grew up in a family that watched a lot of like old movies. So like my dad introduced me to Universal Monsters and like, swashbuckling pirate and Robin Hood movies from the 30s and 40s. And my dad is a big like musical fan too. So I was introduced to a lot of like classic musicals as a kid. So yeah, very into movies then. When I got into high school, I became like a hardcore theater kid. So I got really into like, drama club and I volunteered at community theater. And then like movies, I still watch them, but like the fandom kind of faded off because I was like, I would go to school and then I would go to whatever theater, do whatever show I was until bedtime. So that took up all my time. Then when I graduated high school, I realized like I didn't really want to do theater professionally. So like there was kind of no point to keep going then. So then I, got a job and then the movie fandom came back. And then like in 2013, Movie Pass came out and I got Movie Pass and that was like my prime era of going to see like every movie in the theaters. And that's when I started collecting physical media and such. And then it's just been a consistent obsessive fandom from there.
Hell yeah. No, that sounds great. I mean, so as far as, theater goes, were you on stage like you're as a performer or were you more like in the crew? What kind of theater did you do?
On stage, I primarily did musical theater, although I did plays sometimes. But yeah, I was super into musical theater, whatever shows I could do. My favorite that I ever did was Guys and Dolls, which is probably my favorite musical. And I got to be the lead in that one, which was really cool. Nice. Yeah, so I was always good at the acting and the singing and the dancing. I like struggled through the best I could, but that was one reason I knew I could never do it professionally.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't think I'll ever figure out dancing. I played music and did, played in bands for, a good part of my 20s and 30s. And that was like my version of dancing is whatever the heck that was that I did on stage while I was playing, punk rock stuff, whatever. Never had that knack, but maybe that's where you get a little bit of that stream of consciousness ability is that, I mean, clearly just being on stage, I think makes people comfortable, whether it's, theater or, being a musician or whatever, but also just that memory, just being able to recall those things so quickly and have stuff sort of stand out to you. Do you have a bit of a photographic memory, do you think?
No, I think I had a better memory when I was like in high school and such, and I could memorize lines and lyrics. I'm still pretty good. Like I also play guitar, but I'm really bad at memorizing chords. So like I pretty much always need like the chords in front of me, but I can memorize lyrics super easily. But now I don't know. I don't think of myself as having an amazing memory. Like my buddy, a good friend of mine, Chris, he's from the Figure Out Films YouTube channel, which is also a great channel. He has an insane, I feel like he knows like every line from like every movie he's ever seen. And like, I'm not like that. I just, I don't know. I never thought of myself as having an amazing memory. Definitely not photographic memory, but that would be super useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there are times where I'm like, do I have a little bit of that? And then it's just the cannabis that kind of pushed it out. I don't know. Because yeah, when I was in high school, wasn't doing any of that kind of stuff. And yeah, same kind of thing. I could, me and my brothers would like recite entire movies, I mean, Christmas Vacation or like Ace Ventura or Tommy Boy or, whatever. And speaking of Ace Ventura, because it's a film that came out in 1994, the year of Jim Carrey. You and I both participated in that Rad 9 challenge.
Yeah.
I stayed away from everyone else's videos before I shot mine because I didn't want, it's just like a movie review. Like if I'm going to go see a movie, even if I'm not going to cover it on the channel, like I don't want anything to like poison the well or whatever. So
sure.
I didn't watch anyone's review or anyone's videos on the Rad 9. And then you and I ended up having like 4 or 5 in common, which was
okay, sweet.
Kind of spooky. And that you were on that stream with your friend Chris from Figure Out Film.
Exactly. Yeah. That my Rad 9 entry, I have kind of a high barrier to entry because it's like over 2 hours, but that's because we just did it as a live stream. So
yeah. I put it on. It was like a couple days ago. I'm like, all right, I want to do my research for the interview, see what's up. But yeah, we both had, let's see if I can remember him. Ed Wood. Right.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, for sure.
In the Mouth of Madness.
Absolutely.
Dumb and Dumber.
For sure.
And then the other one was, what the heck was the other one? Oh my gosh, it's not Speed. No, close.
I'm pulling up my list.
And I'm sitting here saying to myself, Dead Air.
I watched most of yours. I think I might not have finished it.
Oh, New Nightmare.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, New Nightmare. Yeah.
Gotta be. Which my buddy Chris kind of bashed, much to my chagrin.
I think it's like, I know people that are like, not only is that my favorite A Nightmare on Elm Street movie, that's my favorite movie, and then
some people super love it.
Yeah. And then I know, of course, there's the other crowd that likes the more like flamboyant direction that they took Freddy with the other sequels. I'm kind of like, I just feel like an old soul. I just like that, Wes coming back. It's kind of like the original legacy, like horror legacy sequel, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, I don't think anyone would do that now, like, I don't think anyone would go that meta today and to like make it actually about the creators, which is crazy. I really like that movie. It was number 9 on my list. It's probably like mid-tier on my nightmare rankings, so it's not like one of my absolute favorites, but I do think it's really good. And I really like that they brought Freddy back to a place of being scary, because I do think after Freddy's dead and the Dream Child, like, you had to dramatically shake it up to bring it back to some kind of a horror level. And my God, Wes Craven did it for sure. He was a really creative guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up a really good point in there about like, that it is more meta than Scream. I think a lot of times it's like that, even I think recently when I've talked about Scream, I watch it all the time because my wife is just obsessed with Scream. So up until recently, I'm like, what? It is like, I do think that New Nightmare does push it further than Scream. I mean, Scream like exists in our world, but New Nightmare like really blends, or kind of blends those lines or blurs those lines between the reality and the film world. And yeah, I mean, 100% like actually making Freddy scary, which has got to be one of the toughest jobs ever to do after what they did to him. I can't believe they did that to him. Do you have like, a lot of your channel is, there's a lot of older films on there and everything. Is there like a newer, a newer franchise you're really into, or maybe like a franchise that is sort of dormant that you want to see come back within the world of horror?
Good question. I do really like a lot of new horror movies, so I'm not one of those people that's just like, oh, movies suck now. They were only good back in the day. Now, I think every you know, every era has its good movies and bad movies, but there are some, you know, era, like I just super love the 80s, you know, like even a bad movie from there. But yeah, I like a lot of new horror movies. I do think my biggest interest with modern horror movies is the original stuff rather than you know what franchise I think I'm probably the most excited about right now is the Terrifier franchise, actually. That really feels like something just dramatically new and exciting. Because like when I was going into the theater to see Terrifier 2, like I felt nervous. And I never feel that like going into any horror movies because I've seen a million of them. But like I just felt like, oh man, what am I getting myself into? Which is so cool. And like when I see Art the Clown, he makes me uncomfortable. And like there's no other slasher villain that's like that because I just love slasher villains. They're fun. But like Art the Clown is like genuinely upsetting, which is super impressive. So like I love Terrifier 2. I like Terrifier 1. I didn't when I first saw it. I liked it better the second time. But I'm really excited for Terrifier 3 for sure.
Yeah, that one is just taking the world by storm. It you know, I just watched those movies like a couple months ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Cecil from the Horror Show channel, who actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the fan film Dylan's New Nightmare. Did you see that one?
No, I heard about it from your first late night guest, Cody. Dude who loves movies. He did a really good video about it.
Yeah, it's pretty damn impressive. I don't know if you're into any of these fan films, but I feel like each one sort of like raises the bar for the next. And you know, getting Miko Hughes to come back to play Dylan was pretty cool. Yeah, Cecil's working on a sequel, so we'll see what happens with that. But he let me borrow the first two Terrifier movies. I had him for like months for this exact reason that you just brought up, that Art made me feel uncomfortable. I had to like tuck it away in my cupboard. I didn't want it out. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want my wife to know that I was scared of a clown, you know. I sure as shit couldn't get her to watch it with me.
Oh God, I would not show my wife those movies. She would hate them so much.
Yeah. And the first one, I mean, I can't even get her, like, she won't watch Black Christmas with me or the Child's Play movies just because of the doll, you know. I mean, everyone's got their, you know, the spot that they just don't want to go to with horror. I totally get it.
Sure.
And that first Terrifier movie, I was like, well, this is like, the gore is great, but this is like where there's like, where's the narrative? Like, what? There's no story.
Yeah, no,
you know. So when I saw Terrifier 2, I was like, that is awesome, but it's about 45 minutes too long. And that's what it seems like. Maybe that's the last thing that they sort of are going to figure out in Terrifier 3. Because yeah, I mean, that trailer that dropped, talk about uncomfortable. I had like goosebumps from the first little jump scare to Art.
Nice. I haven't watched it. I almost never seek out trailers. So I pretty much only see trailers if a theater shows them to me, with rare exceptions like Nosferatu. I watched the Nosferatu trailer right away. But yeah, I'll probably try to hold back on the Terrifier 3 trailer because I just want to be surprised when I see it in theaters. But I will say, I just have to take credit for this. After I saw Terrifier 2, I guessed it on the Terror Table podcast, which is a great horror podcast. And I guessed on an episode to talk about that. And I said on that episode, I want Terrifier 3 to be a Christmas movie. I said, I want to see Art the Clown in a Santa Claus costume come down a chimney. I just think that's perfect. And they were like, oh, all right, okay. And boom, it's a Christmas movie. I'm so excited.
You spoke it into existence.
I did, man. I did.
That is wild. Yeah, I don't think anyone, like, I never would have expected that. I certainly wouldn't have called it. That's brilliant. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, speaking of Christmas and you talking about checking out that Nosferatu trailer, you know, I would imagine are you a fan of the previous Robert Eggers films?
Yes. I don't know about The Lighthouse. I saw The Lighthouse and it was just nothing like I expected it to be, or nothing that like I was sold that it was going to be. So it kind of threw me off, and I haven't rewatched it yet, but I'm a gigantic fan of The Witch and I love The Northman. And then Nosferatu, like, you know, I love the 20s version, the 70s version, and I'm just a huge fan of Dracula. Nosferatu is just Dracula. So yeah, that's like my most anticipated movie like ever right now. I'm so excited for it.
Are you guys going to check it out on Christmas, or are you going to go to a pre-screening or something?
I would love to go to some kind of pre-screening. I can't see it on Christmas and I can't see it on Christmas Eve. I don't come from like we see movies on Christmas family. Like we've never done that. And I just have too much family stuff going on. So there's just no way. So I really hope they'll at least like, sometimes my local theaters will do like, just like a Wednesday night screening. Because they did for Maxine, although I think Christmas is on a Wednesday. But if they can just at least do a screening on the 23rd or before, I can see it right away. But otherwise, I'm gonna have to wait for the 26th. So this is very intense for me. I don't know.
Yeah, and I was, far be it for me to, act like I know anything. But when they said it was going to come out on Christmas, I was like, that's sort of odd. I was like, I think that's a bit of a gamble. I totally like you had said, there are some families where that's the tradition. Every Christmas they wear their pajamas and go
Nosferatu. That's the thing. Like I think the movies that succeed on Christmas releases are movies you can see with the family.
Yeah. So yeah, that's when that trailer came out, I was like, man, they really should be putting that out like right before Halloween and then dropping it on streaming around Christmas if they want to try to get the folks that are fan. Like you would be, I mean, if it were hitting streaming, like, yeah, you guys would put on your onesies and grab a bowl of cookies and you'd sit down and watch an Nosferatu at the end of the night, right? Like,
absolutely. They should just switch the Nosferatu and Terrifier 3 release dates because Terrifier 3 is a Christmas movie, but it's coming out for Halloween.
Well, and I think that's why Terrifier 3 did that. I think they'll go digital like the first week of December or something. You'll be able to buy it or something like that, Yeah. They're playing that game smart over there, the Terrifier folks.
They are. They know how to market. My God, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because we're like basically, I mean, I guess there have been some, there have been some horror icons like other than Art the Clown, but he seems to be like the most promising as far as like carving out that spot on the Mount Rushmore of icons, pushing out Ghostface. If we're going to say the other three are Jason, Michael, and Freddy, although, Jason and Freddy, where the hell are they?
What's funny is nowadays, I mean, I think Freddy or Jason would get pushed out before Ghostface would. Because those Scream movies are really popular right now. Scream 6 made a ton of money. It seems like young people really, really love Scream, but I don't know that young people care much about Freddy and Jason anymore, which is sad, but we just haven't gotten any movies from them in so long. But yeah, Art the Clown, he definitely seems to be our newest horror icon. Otherwise, it just seems like most of the horror movies that hit really big now are one-offs. They are like Hereditary and Get Out and The Witch, stuff like that. Yeah. But as far as franchise stuff, I think Terrifier 3 is the most exciting thing right now.
Yeah, I really liked, I don't know how you feel about it, but I really enjoyed Thanksgiving a lot.
I liked it. I don't know what I was expecting. I think my one disappointment with it is like the gore is great, the kills are great, but I felt like they made no attempts to try to make that villain scary. So like they even have him like, feed a cat at one point. And there are a lot of kill sequences that are just that are just watching him walk around. And I'm like, well, there isn't really suspense here because like, we're just watching him walk around. So I felt like he has a good look. I just felt like they didn't really try to make him scary, but that's okay. I think if I watched it a second time, it wouldn't matter to me anymore, but it was fun. It's nice to get a good Thanksgiving horror movie that you can put on in November every year for sure.
Yeah, to me, it felt like almost like a master class. It was like Eli Roth studied all these, he went back and watched The Prowler and My Bloody Valentine like 100 times each and was like, all right, how am I going to, do something that's sort of similar? To me, it kind of had that vibe, especially, I mean, the iconic look and everything. And hopefully I think the really cool thing is like the first movie's a whodunit, kind of like Scream or My Bloody Valentine. And then we could get a sequel where you just bring that guy back. We know full well who it is. And then it's just a total brutal slasher. You can just, you don't have to forego any of the mystery. So it can be a sequel that's a different style of slasher.
That would be cool to see that actor. I don't want to say who that actor is in case anyone hasn't seen it. It'd be cool to see that actor do that. I don't even know if he would do it, but it would be really cool if he did.
I think he had a really good time. I watched some of the behind the scenes stuff on that film. And he told his agent, he was like, hey, look out for something that's like this. I want to do another slasher because I think he had a fun time doing Scream 3 and he wanted to try it again. And then I didn't even know this, but that actor is from that area. So he's from, that spot in, what is it, Maine, like that Maine, New Hampshire. Cool. And that's like his original accent that he got to like kind of go back to and use, which I thought was like pretty charming.
I did not know that. That's very cool.
he faked his accent to be a star. Cause like I have 4 older siblings. I've been watching him since like Can't Buy Me Love, like when that
Yeah.
was relatively new,
Dude,
you know.
I
What
literally
was that?
have it right here.
86? There it is. And that was filmed not
Uh,
too far from where I live out in down in Tucson.
oh, that's awesome, man. Right on. Yeah, I really like him. Garrett from Born to Be Rad, you probably know. He talks about his movies a
Yeah.
lot, and I've watched like some of his early movies on Garrett's recommendations, and he's just done a lot of good stuff back in the day for sure.
Yeah, really charming, you know, effortlessly charming. And you know, he was voted sexiest man alive at like 61, so that means there's hope for us yet. You know?
Dude, that man aged like wine because, like, here, he's a goofy little guy, but then
Sure.
suddenly he got super handsome.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's like people care about their health now. So it's like we used to have movie stars that just like drank and smoked constantly. Like if
For
you
sure.
like in I love in Jaws the Revenge, and this is totally a tangent, but in Jaws Revenge, when Ellen Brody is like, it was the shark that killed him, and they're like, he had a heart attack. And I'm like, yeah, it was a steady diet full of, you know, glasses that were half filled with whiskey and cigarettes and coffee. That's all the guy, like, you think it was the shark that killed him? And yeah, now we have all these stars that are like, they're, you know, in their 60s and still look great, and, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, it
seemingly
is
getting more
funny.
and more attractive.
Yeah, when you watch like movies from like the 30s and the 40s, like it seems like every time characters walk into a room, they are immediately pouring a glass of straight liquor
Mhm.
every time.
Yep. Like, I'm gonna light a cigarette for you. There you go, darling. And then I'm gonna light one for me.
Yeah.
You know, this is just normal. Yeah, people used to look so much older. I was looking at like, I'm a big music guy. I would
Mhm.
imagine you are as well. And you know, looking at like Otis Redding and was 27 when he died. And you look at a picture of Otis Redding and you're like, that's a 50-year-old man. Like that's just how hard life was, you know, back then, I guess. I don't know what the hell it
Sure.
is. It's bizarre to me. Um,
Yeah.
and now with you know, speaking about music a little bit, I guess I don't hear you talk about music too much. I know we could talk about movies. I like to sometimes mix it up a little bit, so you
Sure.
know, you get to talk about something different. Did you grow up I know you grew up loving musicals and, you know, doing musical theater, but as far as like, you know, what has like been in your playlist as you've grown up? Was there like a genre you fell in love with in high school and then in your 20s, but then you find yourself always coming back to those kinds of things? Or what? I mean, you're 30 right now, right? Something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm 31. Yeah, my dad is a massive music person. Like he's, with music the way I am with movies. And like he was always playing in bands when he was young. Like he had pretty much whenever you hear like kind of rock sounding music in my videos, it's always from my dad's 80s band because it's copyright free.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, he's just been a musician his whole life. He now mostly just does a lot of music with his church and such. And so yeah, there was anytime dad was home, music is in the house. And now I'm the exact same way where like as soon as I get home from
Mm,
work, I put on music. Like I just always like music to be on. And with my dad, his number one fandom is definitely Elvis. He's like a massive Elvis guy. So Elvis has been ingrained in me since I was a kid. He was really big on the Beatles. He was mostly really big on like 60s, 70s music. So we listened to a lot of 60s, 70s growing up. Because he was like young in the 80s, but he was always like an old soul in the 80s. So he didn't listen to 80s music. He always listened to old stuff. And also we listened to a lot of classic jazz, like Sinatra and stuff. And that's honestly been like my favorite music ever since I was a kid. Like I've always loved Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Bobby Darin, that kind of stuff. So I've always loved
mhm.
that. And now I listen to a lot of different kind of things, but I mostly like I like music that's very melodic. So I don't like screaming and I don't like rapping. Like I like melodies.
Mhm.
Right now, I've started getting really into like folk and folksy country, which is different for me, but that's like kind of been like my newfound love. So I listen to a lot of different kind of things.
Are there any artists that stick out to you right now that you've been digging that you want to throw out there into the ether?
Yeah, I love Camp, which is a band. It's Camp with two A's, weirdly enough. Really good, very earthy music. Guys, a very gravelly voice. I love it. I love Lord Huron, also because a lot of his lyrics are kind of spooky. He writes about ghosts a lot, which
Mhm.
especially if folk has anything to do with like ghosts or witchcraft, like I love it. I love anything kind of spooky music. Um, so I really like that. I'm in a big Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks phase right now. Like I kind of like just started listening to her. I don't care about the guy in Fleetwood Mac. I can't even remember his name, but I just like Stevie Nicks. And those are the big ones that stand out to me right now.
Is it Lindsey Buckingham? I know he's in there. I don't know if he's the other
Yeah,
singer, right?
because their first band, I believe, was called Buckingham Nicks. So I think you're right about that.
Gotcha. And I'm kind of like ignorant about some of those older bands, but I do have like a lot of like old music fandom. Like I'm a big, the other Elvis, like Elvis Costello is one of my favorites.
Yes, I love My Aim Is True. That's one of my favorite albums.
Yeah. Oh my God. That album's a ripper too,
It's
for like what,
insanely good.
77, 78 or something. And you listen to it and you're like, this is a bit more manic than the Ramones. And everyone says the Ramones were punk. And I'm not saying they're not, but I'm like, if you listen to My Aim Is True, you're like, this album is like right there with it as far as that kind of energy goes,
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
And my wife and I fell in love with REO Speedwagon like right around the time that we met. So that's like the band I knew about their like the ballads and stuff in the 80s, but then we started listening to the records and I'm like, these guys kind of rock too. Like they're known for their ballads, but everything else is way more like driving, just good, American rock and roll,
Yeah. Did you watch Lisa Frankenstein? There's a good line in that about REO Speedwagon. It's funny.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's fun. It's a good time. But she's like, the monster is like looking for something to like heal him, and he's like grabbing her REO Speedwagon record, and she's like, no, this can't heal you. Well, it can, but your soul.
It's true. REO Speedwagon is legit. I've even seen them live a couple times in the last 5 or 6 years or so, and they're really good even as older men in their 70s. It's friggin' wild, some of these groups.
Yeah.
Saw Styx and never thought I would like have a Styx phase, but I saw Styx and then had to go have a Styx phase. What can you do?
I don't even know Styx.
So the one, like everyone knows them for, Mr. Roboto is like the one that sticks out, but they're another group that like until I saw them live, I was like, that's a Styx song. Oh, that's a Styx song. There were all these songs that I knew just from like, working in restaurants or whatever the hell, being at a ball game, and had no idea that it was Styx. They have like a way broader catalog than I ever thought. Like they're like really whimsical. Like I would say they're like it's like if you took something like what's the Rush, if you took something like Rush and you made it more accessible for people in the mainstream, but it still had all that whimsy and it still does have technicality. That's the best approximation.
Okay. I kind of hate Rush, which my brother hates me for because he loves Rush.
They're tough to get a handle on, man. They are, they don't care about time signatures. They are, you can't put a click behind that group. So it's like if you're looking for something that's like a bit more like if you're a melody guy, I totally get it, because to me I think they do have beautiful melodies, but the rhythms are just all over the place. It's like math rock, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or it's something like King Crimson, if King Crimson had a little bit more, singing to it. I don't know if you've ever heard of King Crimson, but they're like the original math rock band from they must have started in the early 70s or something like that, way ahead of their time. Not really my cup of tea, but I got respect for them. You know what I mean? There are those things when you're like, I don't really like it, but like, I get it. Like, I'm not going to be a jerk about it. Like, I won't be a jerk about Taylor Swift, but can you guys just like stop talking about her all the time? That'd be great.
Oh, my wife is about Taylor Swift the way my dad is about Elvis. That's the last concert I've been to is the Eras tour, because I took her to it, and you know what? It was pretty fun. It was a fine time.
For performing as much as she does and for as long as she does, it's very impressive.
It's like 3.5 hours straight.
Like
crazy.
I definitely respect the work ethic. I don't know, like the genre isn't for me, but that's totally fine. Not everything's going to be for me, and that's cool,
Yeah, me too.
At least she's not like Marvel or Disney that like, used to like me and then told me to get the hell out. I feel like
she is. I've compared her, like she is the Marvel of music, though. Like she's the thing that everybody knows, that everybody talks about, like the most mainstream of the medium. So a lot of times, like my wife will tell me all about the Taylor Swift fandom and what's going on in the fandom, what people are talking about. And I'm like, this sounds like the Star Wars fandom or the Marvel fandom. It's like the same conversations.
That's hilarious. They've got their own Discord on Reddit. It's really ugly. No. If it's anything like the Scream fandom, the Scream fandom on Twitter is wild. Sometimes I just like grab the popcorn and the 3D glasses and just scroll through.
Oh, do they?
You know, it's wild. The kinds of allegiances, you know, they're the people that are like, it's Melissa Barrera or nobody. And I'm like, guys, she'll be okay. She's good. She's getting better, it seems. Like she
will be okay. But I'm a little bit like, I mean, I'll probably watch the next Scream movie, but I don't feel like I care because honestly, like the main thing that made me care about those last 2 Scream movies was Melissa Barrera because I really like her as an actress. I've liked her before the Scream movies. And I was just really interested in her character. I thought her arc was going to some interesting places. And now that that's over and they're just going to do like legacy sequel again. But I'm not like the biggest Scream guy, to be honest. Like, I like Scream, but it's not like my franchise by any means.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way where I really love the first film. I think the 4th one is my favorite sequel. That's what I put in my ranking. I was like, this is the one that's sort of like, you know, having Wes come back and sort of like raising the bar and being like, you know what, I can make it as bloody as films are now. Like, I'm not just going to make a movie like the way I used to make it. I thought it was a really cool, you know, last hurrah for him in that franchise. And like Emma Roberts, just like, she could have cruised through her career. Like, this is the thing I always say about her. Like, she's got the pedigree. She could have been in all sorts of rom-coms. She could have made her paycheck. People would know her because of who her dad is and who her aunt is, right? But she has embraced horror and she really like goes for it in that movie. It was like watching Orson Welles at the end of Citizen Kane. It's like, man, she's gonna throw a fit and cut herself here, like for real, like Leonardo and in Django. You know, this is wild.
Yeah, I think Scream 4 has the second best killer reveal after the first one. And most of the other killer reveals are like, you know, they're fine, but I think 1 and 4 have the best ones.
Yeah, I felt like with the newer ones, it was this the killer reveals that really like kind of deflated my like the way I felt about him. It's the last thing you see. I thought like I predicted the 1 and 5, which I had never really done before, where I was like, oh, and within the first 20 minutes, I was like, it's going to be these people.
It was almost like so obvious that like I didn't predict it, where I was like, well, they're not going to do that. And then they did that. I'm like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
5 is my least favorite Scream movie, to be honest. I think it's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I don't know what it is with me and radio silence. Like I just can't. I'm like they just can't. They don't do it for me. They don't push me over the edge of like loving what they do. Like I think what they do is like fine. Like even Abigail, I was like Abigail has some things I really like, but like you know I thought it could have been way. I feel like if you're gonna show what you show in the trailer, then just cut to the chase a little bit quicker, and it could have been about an hour and 35 minutes, and it would have been like just the perfect little vampire movie. But it kind of reminded me of House on Haunted Hill from 1999, which I did enjoy.
Oh, great movie. I really like Abigail, and I really like Ready or Not, and I really like Scream 6. So I think it's just Scream 5 that I'm not as big a fan of. But Radio Silence is they're very popcorn, they're very mainstream. So I can, you know, understand like maybe getting a little bored with it and feeling like I feel like I've seen this before, because you probably have.
Yeah, and it is interesting, like you know, to take on, you know, only a 2 movie run is like an, you know, a unique sort of experience too. Like, because, you know, the, you know, first 4 Scream movies made by the same people. And then for these guys to only take on the 2, but it is cool to see them kind of get to do their own thing and carve out that space, you know, for themselves, which, you know, you certainly have to do. And then you know, with Scream 7, I mean, like, the only way I could see him like really making it happen is like, let's make it like New Nightmare, right? Let's make it to where the actors are playing themselves. There's a real killer in the real world, and he's sick of these damn movies. That's
what would make me interested in it, because like, if it's just like, oh no, Sydney's being stalked by Ghostface again, I'm like, oh come on, guys. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen that a million times. But also, if you did that, you could bring David Arquette back. Should be cool.
Well, and that's the way they could bring everyone back. They could bring in Matthew Lillard. They could bring Skeet back and not have a weird like AI version of Skeet, or you know,
that stuff is
de-aged. Yeah, it's odd because it's like now you're entering something into this you know, it seems so out of canon. Although I guess in part 3, she does have that weird ghost mom thing, Sydney. Part 3, like there are parts about it that I've like warmed so much more up to as time has gone on, but the ghost mom is the stuff that I'm like, what's going on here? Like, this is not Scream.
I've actually only seen Scream 3 once. That's the only Scream movie that I've only seen one time. So I don't even really remember the ghost mom. I'm usually fine with any horror franchise bringing in supernatural elements because I like supernatural elements, so that's fine. I think my issue with Ghost Skeet Ulrich is he's almost like this spirit guide, and I'm like, isn't this guy a serial killer who like slaughtered so many people? But he's like, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense to me. It's very weird.
Well, and how does she know his personality? Like, she never knew him. How
Yeah,
is he like?
he
It's
must be
weird
an
that
actual ghost. He has to be.
yeah, but it's exactly like it's not in her head. So in the Scream
Yeah.
universe, like ghosts do exist.
Yeah.
They just don't exist in every movie.
Yeah. You know,
So we could have
I
we
mean,
could have a
you never
ghost.
know when a ghost is around, you know?
Yeah, Ghost Stu could come back with a TV on his head. It would be hilarious. Let's just mix
You know what?
Scream
Sure.
and Beetlejuice. Just mix them together.
Sure. Go for it. I mean, at this point, you're on what? The 7th movie? Do whatever. I don't care anymore. That's why, like, I don't know. Like, I'm usually fine with franchises just doing insane things at a certain point because I'm just like, at a certain point, you just got to keep it fresh. That's why, I mean, I already kind of hinted on this stream that I love Halloween 6, and I do because I'm like, it's the 6th Halloween movie. Like, do something weird. I don't want to just watch Michael Myers just walk around and kill people again. And boy, oh boy, do they ever do something weird. And I respect it.
Yeah, I have that's one of the movies that I like more and more because that's my favorite franchise as far as like slashers go. Michael's
Me
just
too.
my guy. I love him. And you know, I enjoyed it. Like, you know, I did make that crack about making my friends watch it, which I did. I made my friends watch it. But I didn't also we watched all the Evil Dead movies in one night. It was the first time we ever saw them, and I'll remember it forever. We stayed up till like 4 a.m. I grew up in Southeast Alaska, and it was like light by the time that we went to bed because it was the middle of the summer. It was great. But part 6 is like, I think I found a totally new love for it. And I don't think it's like completely the superior cut, but that producer's cut does a few things that I really, really love that make me feel like I'm watching something that's influenced by the original movie and not so much influenced by like an early to mid 90s metal music video.
100% agree. It's the producer's cut that made me fall in love with it because like it has such a great look, it has such a great score, it has such a great just Halloweeny holiday feel, which the original cut didn't really to me. It also has I think it has a much better ending because I just find the ending of the original cut just like such a downer. But the end of the producer's cut is insane, but in kind of a cool way where it's like, how could you possibly sequelize that? And they don't, which is kind of too bad. Oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, hey, even if they just brought in the mask from 6 for H2O, which I think they do that in the first scene of H2O, that movie would have been infinitely better if it just had like one mask that looked good. Even if it were the Stan Winston mask for the whole time, it would be better. I don't love that mask, but I love the curse mask. It's one of my favorite masks in the whole franchise.
It's the first time the mask looked good since 2. You might even say since 1. What is the deal with the Halloween mask, man? Why can't they get that right? It's so weird.
Yeah, I don't know if it was something where Shatner at some point was like, you can't use that mold anymore, you know, or the Don Post company or whoever it was like, you have to use something different. But to me, it's like, why, when they brought it back for 2018, they got so close. Like the approximation's great. And then
really good.
You know, the 78 flashback scene from Kills, I think that mask looks really good too. So it is just like, you know, honestly, I think what it is, because now that I'm talking to so many more people about movies, they just didn't think we were going to watch these movies like 100 times and talk about them on YouTube. Like, if only they knew about YouTube, Daniel, they would have gotten that mask right. That everyone loves Halloween 4, and I'm like, I hear you, but he looks terrible. Like, that's the most
fine with
important
Halloween
thing.
4. It's Halloween 5 I can't handle, but I love the movie Halloween 4, so I can forgive the mask.
Yeah, it's a great like soft reboot kind of thing. It's kind of what I think of it as. But I think George P. Wilbur looks even better in 6 than he looked in in part 4. I kind of like
He does,
I
yeah.
know everyone says he's like kind of fat or whatever, but I'm like, I don't know. He just looks like filled out, you know?
He's jacked, Michael. Yeah. You
He,
know,
there-
what has he been doing for the past year? He's been doing chin-ups. He's been doing push-ups.
yeah,
He's getting
he's
ready.
getting older. Older
Yeah.
men sometimes get a bit more barrel chested. You know what? We're fat shaming Michael
Very
Myers,
true.
guys. That is not cool. There's that great shot when he walks down the hallway and he's sort of like got this swagger, like he's got his gut in front of him. If you know what I'm talking about, like the lights are
Yeah.
flashing on him. He's just like, and I love it. I love it.
See, that's funny because I never thought of him as fat. I always thought he was jacked. I was like, look at jacked Michael over here.
Yeah, I think that, he just looks not as slender as he usually does,
He
I
doesn't.
suppose.
Mm-mm.
But there are great shots, you know, across the street with the lightning flashing when the little kid, you know, sees him and everything. And I think you're absolutely right about the fall feel. That producer's cut has those long, like when she's at the school and then when she comes home from the college, they have those shots where it's just following her walking. And I'm like, this reminds me of the first movie. Like, why did you take this out of the movie? Like, this is great, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Let's
mean, that's so much of what I watch the Halloween franchise for, is for that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. The mood, the atmosphere, all the stuff Dave McCrae talks about, which is important in that kind of movie. You know, not every slasher has to have it, but I feel like it's one of those elements that makes Halloween and not Friday the 13th, you know?
Yeah, agreed. Friday the 13th that's a summer franchise for me.
Yeah, and just way more like kind of bubblegummy, like a bit more accessible, you know, perhaps. Like my wife and I will just throw one of those on like while we're doing chores or whatever. You know, it's just like,
oh yeah, they're great
movie,
background
you know?
movies. I love that franchise too, for sure.
We had when on our first date, we went out on a Friday the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. And I made her watch Jason Lives.
Well, that makes sense. That's a super fun movie. Like that's just total bubblegum for sure.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, Megan and Tommy are just the perfect couple there. It's a fun one. A good love letter to like the old kind of like the movies that you like to talk about, you know? Like it has that feel to it, you know?
Oh, especially the opening scene in the graveyard. Like one time, just like on Twitter, I saw somebody post a video of that scene, but they put it in black and white. And I'm usually not a big fan of just turning color movies to black and white, because I think color movies are color and black and white movies are black and white, leave them be. But that scene looked really cool in black and white. Like it really looked like a classic monster movie. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, I've heard I think it's on the commentary for the movie. Tom McLaughlin, the writer and director, said that he pitched that to Paramount. He was like, let me open up the movie. Then once like Jason does the slash thing and we go to the credits, we bring in the color, but like, let me open it black and white. And they're like, no. Like
that's such a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It would have been fun. Cause it does have those Frankenstein vibes. And then even, you know, I think a lot of the stuff with Megan and Tommy just kind of has that like old, you know, creature feature 50s, 60s kind of thing where the teenage couple needs to figure out how to kill the blob or, you know, whatever it is, or the Creeping Terror, all those movies I've watched on Mystery Science Theater 3000 that all have that.
That's a good observation. Yeah. There's a guy in the chat, Mud Nelson, who's talking shit on the original Halloween. Like, what are you doing, man?
Let me see here. When you're 10 and see Rob Zombie's Halloween, it's way scarier than that boring. That's original.
Come on.
So I think the interesting thing there, Gavin, is like I have this conversation with people about Jaws. It's like, depending on how old they were when they saw it, it has a huge effect, regardless of the generation you're from. It's like, if you don't see a movie like Jaws until you're in your 20s, you're going to be like, oh, that shark looks fake. But if you see it when you're like 4, like I did, you're like, I love this movie. It's the best thing I've ever seen. And I think, yeah, like, Gavin, I'm guessing you saw Rob Zombie's Halloween before the original. That's what that leads me to think, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween, but I do love his sequel because it's different.
I actually like both of them. I'm kind of a Rob Zombie apologist, so I like most of his movies. But I do think 2 is undoubtedly better for sure. I think Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is like a fantastic movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of those where it's like people, you know, kind of said similar things about Halloween Ends. where it's just like, tearing it down. And I'm sort of like, well, you still have like 8 or 9 of these movies that all have the same thing that you're looking for. So,
Mm-hmm.
like it's okay to do something different. It's also okay to like not like it. And it's okay to say that it's a well-made film that you just don't like the story. Cause I think so,
Yeah.
some folks are just like, I think the way that we're sort of being pushed is like, you either say it's shit or you say it's the best thing ever. The idea of having a conversation or having like nuance with stuff is just sort of being pushed out. Like
Mm-hmm.
no, don't do that, because if you say one thing in defense of, people just assume that you love it, right? So but I really enjoyed Ends.
I did
I
too.
kind of knew, yeah, I knew what was coming, and yeah, maybe it would have made a better next film to like restart the franchise. But it looks great. It's got arguably the best soundtrack out of those 3,
Really good.
and the performances are great. I think Andy Matichak puts in her best performance as Allison,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Rowan Campbell is fantastic. I had no idea who he was. Watched him in that
Dude,
movie,
yeah.
believed every little bit of it.
I love Corey Cunningham. Yeah, I really didn't like Halloween Kills because I thought it was like boring. It's just like it has almost no plot, and it's just like Michael Myers walking around killing people, and then a bunch of dumb townspeople running around. And I didn't like it. And in order to see Halloween Ends, I was like so relieved that it had an actual plot. And like
Mhm.
the plot is messy for sure, and it doesn't always make a lot of sense, but it had like things going on for me to like pay attention to and engage in. And I did really like the whole like doomed lovers storyline between Corey and Allison. I thought all that was really cool. And
Yeah.
I just kind of wish they committed to it the whole way, because they kind of like they're building up this really interesting movie. And at the end, they kind of throw it away and just go for a Michael Laurie
Mhm.
showdown, which I'm not super interested in.
Yeah, it's just like when Corey stabs himself in the neck, that was like the gut punch of the movie for me. And the rest
Yeah.
was just like, okay, I'm paying attention and I'm watching, but I was like, no, like I wanted him, regardless of how it all shook out. Like I was like, this guy's going to be our new Michael. And like, what a cool idea. Because there are shots of him walking around, like especially when he goes to the radio station and then he goes to the junkyard, where I'm like, that's Michael. Like he just plays him so perfectly. And I'm pretty sure in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
those shots, it really was Rowan, like in the outfit, because he does look a little
Mm-hmm.
smaller. Maybe they got a stunt guy for some of it, but there's even that shot where they shoot him from down below and he kind of has the popped collar and he looks so much like Dick Warlock from Halloween 2 that I'm like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like what just happened there? Like, that's the beauty when they get the mask right. That's the beauty of it, is like every kind of lighting they put it under, it looks a little bit different. Like, have you ever noticed that when you watch Halloween, like the ones with good masks?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I definitely think Michael just has the best look of all of the slashers. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
the hockey mask is iconic, the Freddy glove, it's iconic, but I think like Michael, I think he just looks so freaking cool. I just
Oh
love to
yeah.
see him on screen.
Yeah, he is
But he's the
like,
least consistent of all of them in terms of how he looks.
yeah, it is interesting. It's like the movies that are good in that series are really good, and the movies that aren't, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, get away from me. But to me, he's like Dracula. He's gonna be the one that lives on in like hundreds of years. People are still gonna be talking about Michael Myers. He is,
Mm-hmm.
it's just by calling him the boogeyman, we're gonna, history is gonna look back on him as like the definitive boogeyman, even though that term existed for who knows how long. I'm guessing 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's and it's funny because yeah, I've got some friends that are like, Cecil from the horror show loves to say, oh, he's the walking wall. And I'm
What?
like, yeah, it's like that there's no personality. He's like, even Jason has a little bit of personality. And I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, but that's what I like. I like the mystery. I like that we don't know. That makes him interesting to me. Like in 2018, when they follow him around in that tracking shot, yes, the shot is beautiful. Everything looks and sounds great. But to me, it's like, what's Michael going to do? Like I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, and I do think I just like that he doesn't exactly feel like a person. Like Jason does feel like a person, like he's I don't know if I want to say a mentally challenged person, but he basically is, and he's confused about his mother and such, and therefore
Mm-hmm.
he's running around slaughtering people. But Michael, is technically a person, but he doesn't feel like one. And that, you know, and Loomis has 10,000 monologues to underscore that point. And I like that. I think it's interesting and it's spooky for sure.
Yeah, he's got yeah, with Michael, there's just that, like you said, you're always a fan of bringing in the supernatural element. I like that with Michael, it's ambiguous. It's like it's supernatural when it needs to be, and then he's a man when he needs to be. Like it's this really, there is something like, you know, it's folklore at its heart, even though it takes place in the suburbs. It really does have that kind of vibe, and like that's what I've always loved about Michael. That's why I really liked you know, to Gavin's point, which Gavin's one of our great subs over here. He's like, I just talk shit for fun, Daniel. It's kind of my thing.
It's all good, man. I was just joking too.
Like when we tier rank stuff, he's like, I'm calling the cops, Davey. Like you put that in the wrong, you know, how dare you say that about that movie? Yeah, good fun. And yeah, with Michael, it's like, what was I saying? The folklore thing and the supernatural something. Well, I kind of lost it talking about Gavin, but there you go. Gavin, one of our great subscribers right there. But I do like that, you know, there is that element there, but that it's not clearly defined, you know? And I like that when Michael's smaller, that's what I was going to say. To Gavin's point about Rob Zombie's being scarier, I disagree, because the thing that scares me is the person that's just like a regular sized person that's like watching you and stalking you and waiting for the perfect time to kill, rather than the guy that's like 6'8" that could just literally break through the door like the Kool-Aid man, is less scary to me. But I totally can understand how it'd be more scary. It's just like fast zombies and slow zombies. Fast zombies, I'm like, might as well give up. They're going to get you like really quick. You know, slow zombies represent death. That's why they're so scary. Do you have a preference on slow zombies?
Slow zombies for sure. Cause like, I mean, I love like the George Romero movies for sure. And I like, and The Walking Dead is really good about this. I watched Walking Dead for the first 3 seasons, and then I just felt like I had enough. But it's really good about just kind of walking around, and you see one of the you just come across a zombie, and it's just kind of stumbling around. And I don't know, there's something just very atmospheric about that. And if it's a fast zombie, like you just turn a corner and there it is, and boom, you're dead. But you can just turn a corner and there it is, and like nothing happens. It's just kind of stumbling around. And it's very spooky. So I really like that.
Yeah, I like that the fast zombies are like, we're gonna go for the throat right away. And I like that, like, yeah, what you're saying about the slower zombies is they do have like their unique personalities. There are some of the slower zombies that will go for the bite. Then there's some that'll sort of look at you confused. Maybe there's like a little bit of that soul still left in them, like Bub from Day of the Dead or something like that. Or the zombie that holds the gun in Dawn of the Dead. You know, there's varying, it's like this spectrum of zombies. Whereas in the fast zombie movies, it's just, you know, I don't know. For me, I'm just like, you might as well lay down. But I mean, I do love Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake. I think was probably the best version of fast zombies that I've seen.
Probably. I liked it. I don't think there's any fast zombie movies that I put, like Train to Busan, I think is fast zombies. I think I would probably put that as my favorite fast zombie.
That is a really good one. And I thought that one, I didn't see that until just recently. I did a thing with Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards where we talked about our top 10 zombie movies. And I was like, I have to watch a few of these before I put together this list, because I'm doing the whole subgenre a disservice if I don't watch Train to Busan. And I love that it does pay respect to all that Romero stuff. And then also kind of like created a couple of its own rules, but rules that work within those confines, which I don't think I'd ever seen anyone do before.
Yeah, that's like one of the most emotional zombie movies ever made too.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. It is. Yeah. That movie, gut punch after gut punch. Yeah.
Great movie.
And to round things out here, we got about 10 minutes left, or, you know, ish. Don't want to keep you up too late. You talked about Longlegs and Maxine. I have not seen Maxine yet, but your video on Longlegs and Maxine, we're like on the exact same page on Longlegs. I was like, yes, because I was worried when I saw the title. I was like, oh no, is he going to end up not liking both of these? And that movie is a movie that really plays with that like perfect amount of like supernatural. It like for like a crime thriller, I was like, oh man, they put in the perfect measurement there. Is that something that did you expect that going into the movie, that there'd be that kind of element, or did you think it was just going to be kind of a straight up crime thriller?
I thought it was going to be a straight up crime thriller, which like I was okay with, but I'm not super interested in serial killers. Unless it's like slashers like Michael Myers. I kind of consider that a different category. And
Mhm.
I'm not interested in true crime. I mostly just kind of don't want to know. Like I know more about Jeffrey Dahmer than I wish I knew. Like that's the kind of
Oh
stuff I
man.
don't want in my head. But I was going to see it partially. Well, I really like the director and I like Micah Monroe, and Nicolas Cage is probably my favorite working actor right now. But I was elated with the supernatural elements. Like I just loved it because I love satanic horror, and I'm just much more interested in like vampires and ghosts and werewolves and
Mm,
Satan, all that than like serial killers for sure.
yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm a huge fan of Oz Perkins' film, The Black Coat's Daughter. And I feel like those are like brother sister movies. Like they go together so well. And I wasn't expecting that.
I need to see that one. I've yet to see it. So
It's
this was
awesome.
actually my introduction to Osgood Perkins,
Oh,
and
okay.
oh man, I just felt like from the very first frame, he's just sort of like putting you right in that mood. Him and the crew, man, they just cater you and usher you into their world. And then the credits, like the stark red and black. And then every time the card changed, I was still seeing, every time I blinked, I saw the names of the people on the previous card. And I'm like, this movie is hypnotizing me. Like, that's what they're like. They are, it is a true like film experience where you sit down and they're going to wash you of the world that you knew before you walked in, and you're going to walk out a different person. And that hour and 40 minutes, they're taking you on their journey, and that's the way that they just get you primed for it. And
Yeah.
yeah, that man, the deliberate placement and movement of the camera, like to me, I get like Kubrick vibes. I even get like Wes Anderson vibes from the way the
I
movie's
get
shot.
that in terms of how people are centered so much and there's all this empty space around them. That makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, and even yeah, it's just sometimes the camera would just sit there. I love that, and maybe you have an appreciation for something like this being a theater guy. When the camera, there's one of those scenes where it shows what happens with one of the families, the camera's in the same spot, and things are obscured because the camera isn't moving while the action's going on in the other room. And I
Hmm.
thought that was like really creative to just literally be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, and Black Coat's Daughter has Emma Roberts, who you're just talking about.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. I have the weirdest blind spots for some things. Admittedly, my wife and I just like to kind of hang out with our cats and just sort of kick it. And so, going out into the world, of course I do it and everything. But one thing that doing this channel for the last year has taught me is like I need to definitely like open up, watch some more of these, movies that I've missed in genres that I really love. And especially after watching Long Legs, like I don't need to be convinced anymore. Like I'll watch everything Osgood Perkins does from here on
Hmm.
out.
Well, I certainly understand not always wanted to go out to the theater because I have a toddler at home, and it's harder than ever to get out to the theater now. So it's always a treat when I get to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you guys posted that picture. You do a July Halloween celebration to
Yeah,
kind of like kick it into gear.
we did. We
Yeah.
started it the year that you would expect us to start it, which was 2020. So
Mhm.
things are a little bummer in 2020. We were stuck at home. So yeah, we always get neither of us are summer people, so we always get really sick of the heat. So we always pick a day in July to just kind of pretend it's October. And we've always called it Summer Spooky Day. It seems like it's kind of become a thing now, and people call it Summerween, which is a pretty good name, but either way you want to
Mhm.
go. And we always watch like usually like fun spooky movies, like often like Gateway, kids horror, stuff like that, because we really like that stuff, and it was fun to show some of those kind of movies to my son. He loved Casper. He was like glued to the screen for
Mhm.
Casper, which was super fun. But yeah,
How
it's
old?
just been a tradition. He's about 1.5.
Oh, okay. 1.5. Yeah. Man, that's got to be so awesome. I think one of the greatest things about having kids is, you can force your interests on them and make them love what you love. And if they don't, they can just get the hell out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, you never know how it's going to go. So far, he seems to love Halloween stuff. So he gets super excited if he sees pumpkins or if he sees like white sheet ghosts. We have
Mm.
we have like a white sheet ghost hung up in the corner of the living room all the time because we put it up one Halloween and we've never taken it down. So it's always there. And he loves it. He always gets so excited when he sees it. He points at it, yells, "Ghost!" So far he's loving the spooky stuff, which is making me happy.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I think I have one more question for you, because when you had talked about musical theater and that you love musicals, your thoughts on Frank Oz's Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I've seen the movie. I also saw like a high school production of it, one that I wasn't in, but went to like a friend's high school to watch it, which was fun. But yeah, I like it. I don't think I consider it one of my absolute top favorites, but it's lots of fun. A lot of great music for sure.
When was the last time you saw it?
Maybe 3 or 4 years ago or so.
Okay. Yeah, I really dig that one. I grew up like, with musicals, it's like sometimes I really love them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes the ones I love are totally cheesy. Like I love Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like some of those really get me. Whereas like not all the Andrew Lloyd Webber stuff really works, but like that one, I'm into that one. And then
sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it was with Little Shop for me. Maybe it was like being into horror as a kid. And then also like Rick Moranis was kind of like, a young comedic star when I was young, but I just, fell in love with that. I love how they do in that movie. There's like these really awesome, like long camera shots. You can tell they, use these big stages and everything. And I was like, that's a really creative idea to like shoot it as if you kind of were on a stage, to sort of like, let's make it like a theater production, when we can.
Yeah, they do that really well. It's a very fun movie. I see Mud Nelson shouting out Tim Burton, Sweeney Todd. Huge fan of that movie too. Fantastic.
That's a good one. Yeah, Tim, and he's coming back in a big way here with Beetlejuice. Have you been avoiding those trailers?
No, I saw the first trailer. Very excited for it. I love Beetlejuice. I'm one of the few people that doesn't think Tim Burton's lost it. I think he does have a lot of good stuff in the 2000s. Hot take, I guess. So I'm very excited for that movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What did 2000 like Sleepy Hollow? Love it.
Yeah, that's my favorite Tim Burton.
That to me, that's like got that Hammer feel.
It does. Like, it's basically his tribute to Hammer. It's even got a lot of actors from Hammer films too.
Yeah, and half of them were in the Harry Potter movies, so it's like you got a little overlap there too.
Yeah, the guy who just passed away, who was Dumbledore, Michael Gambon.
He's in there. Then there's the guy that plays the Harry's uncle. He's in there too, the big boy.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not really a Harry Potter guy. I read the first 4 books, watched the first 4 movies, and then I never finished the 5th book, and that was like 15 years ago or something. So
yeah, my wife, she's the expert. I mean, I've seen the movies, but mostly because she, every November she wants to watch them. They're fine. It's fine. I don't know.
Harry Potter was evil in my household growing up. We were taught that Harry Potter is of the devil, and you do not read that. So it wasn't until I got older where I could make my own decisions that I started reading them. And I really like them. It's a lot of books, and I'm not the greatest reader, so I just kind of fell off.
Yeah, evil. It's interesting. Like if it, I guess is so. You're a big witch fan. This will be my last one. I promise. You're a big fan of like witch movies, good, right? Man. Is that something that you've always loved, or is that something that was there a little bit of like sort of a punk rock rebellion kind of thing going on, where you're like, oh, check out these damn witch movies?
I don't really think about that anymore because like also my parents don't care about the Harry Potter thing anymore. It was very much like it was a fad for like Christians in the 2000s to be against Harry Potter, and now nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just it was like a year ago or so that I just thought, what are the witch movies? Because people talk about witches as like one of the biggest, icons of horror, like vampires and werewolves. But like, it's not as obvious what the classic witch movies are as it is with vampires and werewolves. So I just thought like, well, what are they? And I just started watching a bunch, and then I made a video on it, and it's still my biggest video. It hit really big. So yeah, I have become though progressively more fascinated by witch movies and also just witchcraft in general in terms of like folklore and its history. So I find it very, very interesting. I never thought of it as rebellion, but hey, maybe it is.
You got to do something rebellious, right?
Yeah. And I'm a pretty clean cut guy. So, I got to find something rebellious to do.
I get that vibe, Daniel. I get that vibe. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. I know you gotta, go to work and everything, and
Not now, but in the morning.
you have to go to work right now. Actually, they called me to tell you that you have to go in right now. But yeah, really appreciate you carving out some time for us.
Sure, man.
Again, man, I adore the channel, guys. If you haven't subbed over there yet, you've got to go check out his channel. So I put links for the Instagram and the YouTube channel for the Cobwebs channel in the description below. And yeah, guys, if you like physical media, if you love, old school horror movies, if you like just listening to somebody talk about movies and feeling like you're hanging out with a bud, Daniel is the place, or the guy to do it, and his channel is the place to do it. There you go. And
Thanks,
let's see
dude.
here.
I appreciate it.
I wanted to share this one. Boom, there we go. Tales from the Shelf. Mark says, big fan of Daniel's channel. He's filling a niche that isn't being served right now for horror fans. Yeah, I really love that you mix the mix of the physical media element with the reviews and everything. I think it's a really nice, like, I see a lot of people that, talk about more of the actual physical item, not so much the movie. So I really enjoy that review element. And best of luck with the channel. Hope you guys have a great rest of your summer here. And, we'll get your kid will be watching Halloween before you know it. It'll just be,
I'm excited.
He'll be sitting down for Terrifier 6 with you,
Hell yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, dude. Good to meet you.
Yep, you too. Take care. All right, guys. Yeah, late night with the Davey. How's everyone doing in the chat? Now you guys just get me for 4 more hours. No, I'm just joking. I won't be on that long, but I do want to catch up with y'all because, kind of slowing down some of the live stuff. If you guys caught my Sunday live, you know that I'm, pumping the brakes on that so I can focus on having more time for pre-recorded videos and all that kind of stuff. Not sure if you guys, saw, but I put out that Rad 9 challenge for the my Rad 9 movies of 1994. That was really fun. I had a great time picking those out. There are some really good movies that I left off the list, but I wanted to, make sure that all of those movies had like an impact, some sort of staying power, and movies that I think about periodically, even if I don't watch them every year. So check that out if you guys haven't seen it yet. And then, of course, I did a, trailer reaction for Joker Folie à Deux, the sequel to Todd Phillips' Joker from 2019. That came out yesterday. And today, just for Gavin, I did a trailer reaction for Terrifier 3. That was an interesting teaser trailer. You don't really see too much, but I'm still really looking forward to it. I don't think I want to see another trailer. I think I'm good with that one. I want to see this movie in the theater already. And Gavin says, fuck work. Already worked 40 hours in 3 days. Dude, that's hardcore. You're in management, right? So they can just get you to stay whenever they need somebody to stay, or someone calls in sick. They're like, dude, you signed the piece of paper that said you'd get paid salary, so you get to work as many hours as we tell you. Everyone's saying what's up to each other. Cody, dude who loves movies. Guys, if you don't sub over there at Dude Who Loves Movies, go check him out. I don't have a link in the description below because I didn't know he was going to show up, but maybe I should just put links in the description below for everyone that I know that has a channel on every episode. I don't know. Maybe I should. Jamie says, I seriously love Harry Potter. They aren't for kids like people think. They get really scary. Yeah, the later ones have some scary elements for sure. I think the movies I've never read the books. I think the story gets better as the kids get older because the stakes are raised. There are stakes in the earlier, stories, but I feel like the peril that you get to put the kids in grows as the stories go on. I like the third one, Werewolf and Time Travel. Yeah. That Prisoner of Azkaban. You get a little Gary Oldman there. That one's a fun one. I really like Goblet of Fire as well. I think Mike Newell directed that one. The guy that did Prisoner of Azkaban, it's the same guy that did Gravity, right? What's his name? Why can't I remember him? Because he's done a whole bunch of really great movies. But yeah, love the werewolf. I think the time travel, they sort of do the Bill and Ted's version of time travel in Prisoner of Azkaban, where it's like, in Bill and Ted's when they're like, oh, where are we going to find the keys? And they're like, oh, well, like when everything works out the way we want, we just bring the keys here and they'll be here for us. And then they grab behind the sign and there's the keys. Like that's the version that they do in Harry Potter, where they're like, before they go back in time to throw the rocks at the windows to distract everyone, the rocks are being thrown at the windows. Like something has to start that loop, right? Right? I don't know. I'm not any sort of physicist, or I mean, really any ist, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. That's what you come for. You know, when you come to Late Night with the Davey, that's what you come for. It's the gripping hot takes on time travel in movies. It's true. It's true. And everyone's saying, what's up? To do. Hell yeah, let's go till tomorrow. That would be amazing, because that would be 3.5 hours from now. Gavin says, if y'all haven't checked out the Intruder review, I will send the FBI to your house. I would imagine most everyone in the chat has checked out the Intruder review, because, you know, there's enough views on it to, you know, show that there are 9 people in the chat right now. So hopefully everyone's checked it out. If you guys haven't checked it out, though, go check it out. And also, you know, another commercial. This will be the last commercial for myself until I say goodbye to everyone. My Friday the 13th ranking video is like 13 views away from hitting 1,000. Guys, the only videos I've had hit 1,000 views on this channel have been my trailer reaction to the Crow remake that's coming out, and my trailer reaction to the first Beetlejuice trailer. Those are the only 2. So I haven't had like an original video that's broke 1,000. So it would be super special to see that one hit 1K. Maybe I would do a little celebration for it. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Gavin, I did think about you the whole entire time. I woke up at 5 in the morning just to see if it was there, because I wanted to shoot the vid before work and then edit it on my lunch, because the reaction videos are pretty easy to edit. I don't do a lot of like cuts or anything like that, so it's pretty simple. It's not like the, you know, the Rad 9 challenge has all sorts of edits in there and overlays and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, of course, man. I think about you guys all the time. Never, you know, in an inappropriate way. But yeah, Gavin, of course, when I think Terrifier, Mud Nelson pops up into my head. Oh, not even salary, lower tier. Well, there you go. I guess that's the benefit, right? At least you get the overtime pay if they're going to stick you in there. That, you know, I suppose I'd rather have that, right? If you have to work that much, you know. Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings movies are my childhood, says Nicholas McMath, and some of my favorite movies of all time. Oh yeah. I can totally understand that. You know, I was born the year before Return of the Jedi came out, but I grew up with those movies because my older siblings watched them. So that was sort of like my Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. I mean, I guess I even grew up watching the Lord of the Rings cartoons that I really enjoyed. Those were beautiful. Yeah, I think it's great that each generation kind of has these, you know, it's an archetypal story. Like it's a, you know, relatively similar kind of story, but told in this epic, grand manner. And it's cool that it can be reinvented, and you know, they can find enough unique things to put in there to make it exciting for that generation. Alfonso Cuarón, thank you so much. Appreciate that, Tyler. Tyler always coming in with the save. What's happening, Antonis? How you doing, sir? Great to see you. Raymond said he saw the second trailer for Trap, and my interest for it is down. That's why I don't like seeing more than one teaser and one trailer. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I don't think it was when Christian was on the show the other week, but I hopped on to his Planet Dirty Friday Live a couple weeks ago, and we started talking about movies, and he was like, I don't watch any trailers, which is, it's kind of like, I've been thinking about that. And then now that I watch these trailers, you know, like if you guys watched my Joker trailer reaction, I'm just sort of like, I already want to see this movie based on the first one. This trailer doesn't excite me anymore. And so I guess, like, since it doesn't excite me anymore, it's sort of like that line in Tommy Boy where it's like, you're either growing or you're dying. There ain't no third direction. You know, it's sort of like, yeah, when you put out a second trailer that falls flat, it's not going to, and it doesn't increase people's interest, especially people who are already interested. I don't know. I didn't think it was a bad trailer by any means, but I felt like the first trailer was sufficient. And then Kate and I watched the Beetlejuice second trailer, And that kind of reminded me of like an older trailer that I would see, when I was a kid, like in the theater, where, you see the trailer, you forget about it, you're not seeing it all the time. So even if they spoil some of the jokes, by the time you actually see the movie, like 4 or 5 months later, you're going to laugh again. And I felt like that second Beetlejuice trailer, like they really blew a lot of jokes. And I guess the only danger for that now is that if people want to watch that trailer over and over for whatever reason, they can watch it over and over on YouTube. And then maybe by the time they see the movie, maybe the joke doesn't land as well as it could have. Just little Davey thoughts. Davey, we share a love for Ed Wood, the movie, says Aaron Click. What's your favorite line from it? One of mine is, let's hear you call Boris Karloff a cocksucker. That is a really great line. Trying to think. Well, I really love the way, Martin Landau's Bela Lugosi impression is really, really good. So I love when he does that, like, for the string. Like that whole thing is just really like, the performance is so massive and big. I'd probably get a line of dialogue incorrectly, or I probably recite it incorrectly, but I think it's when he says, when he's telling the guy, the dude from Dumb and Dumber that accidentally eats the rat or gets the rat poison fed to him. When he's telling him, I think he was like a producer for the movies, right? So he's telling him that he wore women's clothing, and the guy's like, "Are you a fruit?" And he's like, "No, I love women. Wearing their clothes makes me feel closer to them." And then he's like, says that he wore women's underwear under his like flight suit, and he was like, "I wasn't afraid of dying, but I was afraid of my my fellow like soldiers finding me," or whatever. I know, look at me, I totally blew it. I need to look it up on IMDb, Aaron. This is terrible. But I love that moment because I think Ed Wood, like when you read about Ed Wood as a person, it doesn't seem like he was really the greatest guy. It just seemed like he was a troubled alcoholic, and everyone knows that his movies were a complete, total messes. But I think what Ed Wood, the movie, does is, Johnny Depp's performance is so charming, and it makes you want to root for him. Like you want Ed Wood to succeed. And then even like his little, like he's got this like spastic kind of bouncy energy, so quirky. And I just find him so lovable. So that moment, especially right there, I had never heard anyone like, even, in the modern world we live in, where people do, people cross dress for all sorts of reasons, whether it's like cosplay or something more serious or whatever. And I thought it was just a really interesting way for him to say like, no, I wear women's clothing because it makes me feel closer to them. I thought that was fascinating. I don't know if that's true with Ed Wood, but it's a great line in the movie. Doing great, Antonis. Hope you're doing well also. And yeah, if you missed the interview, it was with Daniel from the COBWEBS channel. He's becoming one of my favorite YouTubers out there. I really love his physical media coverage and his movie reviews. Not sure if you're subbed, but if you're not, there's a link in the description below so you can check him out. He's one of those YouTube channels. I know I said this before we brought him on, but I just found him maybe a couple months ago. YouTube is just it's so bizarre. Like same thing happened with Nick from the Lost River Drive-In. Like this guy's been doing this for years. I've been watching YouTube consistently since like 07, something like that. And then all of a sudden, somebody's great channel pops into my feed and I'm just like, where the hell was this, all these years that I've been missing out on it? Nicholas says, I'm with you, Davey. The fourth Harry Potter is my favorite, and the third one's my second favorite. Yeah, Goblet of Fire is fun. I like the idea. The Triwizard Tournament's a really cool idea, and I think that's the first movie. I know the third movie has the darkness to it, like it's got that really cool blue look and some spooky moments and the werewolves. But I think in Goblet of Fire, like when Robert Pattinson's character gets killed, what is his name? Cedric something. When he gets killed, that's when you feel for the very first time that there are like some really true stakes because somebody that, has been kind of a main character for that film actually dies. Yeah, Fatchy definitely thinks about me in the shower. Well, maybe. I think about the show in the shower. The shower is like, I either listen to music or listen to something from YouTube. Or I just sit there and like, it's kind of like when you go jogging or something. It's like a good time to sort of just think things out, right? I don't know. Or think about all the things that you've done wrong in your life. You could do that too. we've got, so Gavin, we have five folks are paying members of the Patreon, and we have a few others that are, you know, there for the free stuff, which is I think probably just the chat. I don't even know. So yeah, that's another reason why I'm going to be pumping the brakes on the lives on Sunday, is I want to get some more material recorded for the patrons. I want to up that. We're really close to filling the last metric to start doing YouTube memberships. Once I'm able to unlock YouTube memberships, I might kind of marry those two. I might close down the Patreon, just depending on how it goes. I don't really know what to expect until I'm able to, you know, read more about it and everything. And I'm actually, you know, once I'm eligible for that. But I think for ease of like finding balance with my life, you know, with work and my personal life and then the channel, probably just be easier to have one of those things to worry about. And yeah, I think I also have the ability to like gift people memberships. I don't know if they let you do it like once a month. You get a handful that you can gift. But definitely, you know, one of the first things I would do when making that transition is make sure that the folks that are part of Patreon, you know, get some free memberships so they can check out what we're doing, you know, at that point. But yeah, definitely want to get some more stuff for you guys over there on Patreon. Raymond said, I saw a Catherine Newton movie I hadn't seen before, and it made my crush on her grow. What movie is it? Because I think I've seen her in, I've only seen her in Abigail. She's on Stranger Things, right? Maybe if she's in this first or second season of Stranger Things, I saw her, but if it's anything past that, I haven't watched anything past that. Gavin says, I only sub to you and Horror Dads on Patreon, so you're in a special class. Dude, thank you for reminding me. I need to reach out to those guys. I need to, because you showed me, or, you know, you shared their info on that DM. I really enjoyed what they're doing. So I need to reach out to them, because right now I'm booking, I've got like, let's see here, 1 or 2 of the guests booked for August, but I need to start booking beyond that just so I don't get, you know, lost in the shuffle. So really looking forward to the guests we have coming on here. We got a really, really fun one coming up on Wednesday, the 28th, which is the 15th anniversary of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I've got a special guest lined up that's a really big fan of that movie. I'm a really big fan of what he does, and we got him penciled in. So hopefully everything goes well, and you'll see us on the show that night. Jamie rarely watches the trailers as well, unless one pops up when she's watching a video or seeing a movie. Yeah. There you go. I think that's a good idea. Just don't seek it out. I don't think you have to like run out. I've heard of people that will run out of the theater or cover their eyes and ears. But yeah, going in with fresh eyes and no expectations. Very well said, Jamie. That's beautiful. Pull the string. Pull the string. What's the other one he says? He's a race of atomic supermen. That's just wild, wild stuff that he says. Gavin says, I need to re-watch Ed Wood soon. Such a fucking good movie. Would be in my Letterboxd top 4 if it had better posters to fit my aesthetic. Yeah, they just used that shot from, like the shot that they remade from Glenn or Glenda, I think. Have you guys ever watched an Ed Wood movie? I've watched, now they do a couple, there's like the Violent Years. They did that on Mystery Science Theater. There might have been another Ed Wood movie, I think, that they did on Mystery Science Theater. The name escapes me right now, but I've seen, what was it, like Orgy of the Dead, which is basically just like naked chicks dancing around, topless chicks dancing around. It's really stupid. And I have seen Glenn or Glenda without any commentary or riff tracks or anything like that. They're really rough. They're really rough. Tough to get through. Tough to get through. Nicholas says, I'm really excited for Beetlejuice 2. Now the first one is so nostalgic for me, but I feel like in the second trailer for Beetlejuice 2 showed too much. I'm right there with you. I love that first movie. I think this movie's going to be really good. And maybe it's like, it doesn't bother me as much with like comedies, you know, it's like, I get it. Like, I don't remember the jokes, you know? So some of the jokes that they like spoiled, like, I'm not going to remember them by the time I sit my butt down and watch the movie, and I'm not going to rewatch the trailer. And with certain things, it's like, yeah, you know, like not a big deal. It's not like something getting blown in like Long Legs or something like that, or, you know, some sort of spoiler. But I did, like, we watched that one, and then we watched the Alien Romulus trailer. And the Alien Romulus one was another one where I was like, I didn't really need to see that because I love the first trailer. And they do kind of show a bit like kind of a lot in the Alien Romulus trailer, but at the same time, it's like, well, I'm watching a movie called, if I go in to watch a movie called Alien Romulus, I kind of know what I'm going to get into. So if you're going to show me alien action in the trailer, I can't be pissed off, right? No, yeah, I know, I got you, Aaron. Yeah, that moment sticks out to me. Admittedly, it's been a little bit since I've seen Ed Wood. I need to check it out again. I do own a copy, and Kate is a huge Tim Burton fan and a massive Johnny Depp fan, as most women are. But I think she's only seen that maybe a couple few times, and I think it's been a really long time for her. But that is, I would say that's probably my favorite movie of his. I mean, I love Batman 89 so much. It's really tough. Like, if I had to pick one of those for a desert island, okay, maybe I'm picking Batman 89. But I think, like, technically speaking, and the performances and just like, shining a light on, an icon within the film industry and doing, of just a celebration of someone that Tim Burton probably says, like, this guy was kind of like me. And like, I've had this success being a weirdo. He didn't have success being a weirdo. So I think there's a really cool, like, kind of kinship going on there. And I think Ed Wood is just such a great movie. I don't think there's one bad performance. Man, the guy that they got to play Tor Johnson, I can't remember his name, but he was like a big wrestler back in, I think, the 80s. He looks so much like Tor that it's like, it's bizarre. Like, you would think that was actually Tor, or that was like his kid. It's because I've seen Tor in a bunch of movies, because he's been in a bunch of Mystery Science Theater movies. Maybe the actor that played him in Ed Wood wasn't quite as big as Thor wasn't quite as big as Tor Johnson, because man, he is like extra big boy. But yeah, great casting. Gavin says, Davey, not horror, but have you ever seen Lady Snowblood? It's one of the bigger influences for Kill Bill, and it's such a bloody good Japanese film. I've never seen that one. Is it a live action film, or is it an anime, Gavin? I've seen, I know one of the big ones that influenced Kill Bill was Ninja Scroll. I've seen that Ninja Scroll anime, which is really damn good. Yeah. But I feel like I've heard of Lady Snowblood, because I've seen articles where they talk about the influence, but I don't know. Yeah, I've never seen it. There's a whole bunch of movies out there. And people who love to read are like, it's so sad when I think about all the books that I'll never get to read. I feel that way about movies. This would have to be my full-time job if I were to just, catch up on everything. And then you guys know I'm a big rewatcher. So now I want to rewatch Ed Wood, right? And that takes up the time where I could be watching something I've never seen before. Like, I've never seen Ready or Not. So I talk all that about Radio Silence, and I've seen, 3 of their 4 films. Maybe they've done something else that I missed. I'm not sure. Aaron says, agreed. It was actually heartwarming. And I've read a couple books on Ed Wood, and he did tell people that. Okay, gotcha. So that's what I figure, right? Cedric Diggory. Yes, there you go. Heartbreaking scene when he dies, man. Heartbreaking. Gavin, you're absolutely right. Gavin says, also, I need you to dive into more Italian films. I'm gonna assign tone to everyone's chats from now on. Also, Davey, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and come in on Sunday too. We fell behind and we've got a little catching up to do. He says, also, I need you to dive into more Italian films. I think you would enjoy Argento's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Less flashy, but a really smooth crime thriller. Hell yeah. I love the Argento stuff. I really like Deep Red. Is that Argento? I think it is, right? That's one of those giallos. There's so many giallos I've not yet seen. I think I would say like Opera, Deep Red, Bay of Blood, Dressed to Kill by Brian De Palma. So maybe I've only seen like 4 movies that I would consider giallo. I don't consider Suspiria giallo. To me, it's like supernatural witchcraft kind of movie. I mean, yeah, it's an Italian movie. So those Italian films have a little bit of a more like kind of surreal feel. I feel like the European horror films are a little more fantastic and stylistic than the American films were, especially at that time. But yeah, I should check out The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. And there's a couple others. I'm trying to, Tenebrae. I've heard Tenebrae is like the best Giallo film, and I've never seen Tenebrae. So I have to see that. And is that Dario Argento as well? I'm not sure. Got some Harry Potter fans having some communion here. It's great. Batchy Cinema. All right. Start, bench, cut. Long Legs, Abigail, Late Night with the Devil. Ooh, I'm going to start Long Legs. I'll bench Late Night with the Devil, and I'll cut Abigail. Yeah. Abigail easily is the film out of those three that I enjoyed the least. Late Night with the Devil, I really love that movie. I think Long Legs, I start Long Legs over Late Night with the Devil because I think I might find myself like something about Long Legs that just like permeates in my mind that I may want to like maybe more rewatchable. Whereas with Late Night with the Devil, that's one of those movies I kind of want to just save it for like right around Halloween, since it takes place on Halloween, and watch it once a year and just have it be like special every time and not overdo it. I have Shudder, and Kate and I watched it on opening night here in the theater. And so since it's come out on Shudder, I haven't watched it again because I ordered that big umbrella box that's coming out in September. And so I'm like, Davey, you're going to wait. You're going to wait until the box comes. I'll do a live. Well, I don't know if it'll be live, but I'll do, I'll shoot an unboxing where I'll take it out of the wrapping for the very first time and show everything off and all that cool stuff. And I'll probably, maybe I'll watch it when it comes in, and then maybe I'll watch it again on Halloween just this first time because I've been waiting for so long. I love David Dasmalchian's performance in Late Night with the Devil. And I really like how they put you, similar to like Long Legs, it's an immersive experience where you feel like the filmmakers are like controlling your experience and like just have control of your mind for that hour and a half or hour 40 minutes that they've got you. And I feel that big time with Late Night with the Devil. And I think being a late night talk show host, like the guys that really do it like night after night, doing monologues and, they have teams of writers, of course, but you're still like, you're involved in that process. You have to work on the timing of the joke. It still has to feel like I really respect what those guys do. And for Dasmalchian to jump in and play the role of Jack Delroy so convincingly, like I was just in awe the whole time. Like as I'm watching that movie, I'm thinking, dude, you're becoming my favorite actor right now. Raymond said it was called The Map of Tiny Perfect Things about two people trapped in a time loop. Oh, it was cute and really good. That's the Catherine, what's her face? Catherine Newton. I'm like, why did I want to say Catherine Bigelow? That's the director. There we go. That will conquer the world. Mario Bava. All right. Mario Bava did Tenebrae? Is that right? Or Deep Red? Aaron Click saw Glenn or Glenda while on acid. Dude. Yeah. There's like two scenes in Glenn or Glenda that's just like a guy chasing a woman like around a couch with like narration. It's awful. It's really bad. Oh yeah, I've seen Plan 9. There we go. Raymond Malibu. I might have seen Plan 9, but I don't remember. I would say Plan 9's like, people talk about like the worst movie of all time. I'm like, ooh, watch the other Ed Wood movies because I think Plan 9, it's easily the best one out of his that I've seen. It has like more entertainment value to me anyway. Jamie said Plan 9 used to play on TV all the time when I was a kid. Yeah, I don't hate Plan 9, that's for sure. Mario Bava's movie Danger Diabolic from it. Yeah, that was that, man. I'm getting goosebumps here, Gavin, because that was a very special episode. That was the last episode of the original run, was Danger Diabolic. It's got what's his face? John Philip Law is in it. He was a big time Western actor, and he's actually in another Mystery Science Theater 3000 film called Space Mutiny with Reb Brown. That's one of the best episodes. I'm sure a lot of Mystery Science Theater fans talk about Space Mutiny because it's really damn good. That's one of the sci-fi era episodes. And so, yeah, Danger Diabolic was like the last episode of season 10. And yeah, Mike and the bots get back to Earth. So that was an episode, honestly, I didn't watch for a really long time because I didn't want the show to end. I'm sentimental about Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's the kind of guy I am. And I had no idea that Bava did that one. Because Bava did he did Bay of Blood, right? Or Twitch of the Death Nerve, whichever name you prefer. Yep. George the Animal Steel. Thank you so much, Aaron. That's the guy that played Tor Johnson. Yep. Doug Easter is in here. Doug, have you been in the chat before? I love that I see new people here, and this guy's like, boom, there it is, bud. George the Animal Steel. Hell yeah. Well, Doug, welcome to the Davey Deathray channel. Hopefully you're still here. Check out what we have. I go live quite a bit. I do this show every week on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then I'm, always hopping on over to other people's channels doing collaborations. And we've got some pre-recorded stuff as well. So if you're a fan of film, horror, physical media, well, maybe more so on like the vinyl side of physical media. I'm not trying to chase that game because that's an expensive one. But, if you like hanging out with folks and feeling like you're hanging out with friends, then this is the spot to be. Nicholas said, I haven't seen Ed Wood, but I do like Tim Burton, and I'm a big Johnny Depp fan. Yeah, even if you don't know much about Ed Wood, you could read about him a little bit. I think the movie's still really entertaining and really fun. You're going to see so many actors, and Bill Murray is in there. So Bill Murray, Martin Landau, Johnny Depp, Sarah Jessica Parker. There's like a whole bunch of cameos that I can't think of right now. It's really damn good. Live action. Okay, Lady Snowblood is live action. Can you send me that in a DM, Gavin? Because I'll probably, I'll definitely, the cannabis will kick it right out of my head. But if you send me a DM, I'll be sure to check it out. Ready or Not is fired. That's what I've heard, Matt. I think that's the thing is like, I feel bad because I'm sort of lukewarm. I don't think the Radio Silence movies are bad. I just think they're fine. To me, I'm not like, but I've heard people say that that's their best one. And even people like friends that I've talked to whose opinions I trust, when I tell them that I didn't really enjoy the screams very much, and I thought Abigail was just okay, they're like, you'd probably really like Ready or Not because, yeah, it's way more your speed. And then Jamie Hart said Ready or Not is worth checking out. It's really, really good. I think you'll like it. Excellent. I do, Samara Weaving, just from what I've seen of her, I really enjoy. I like so it's great when actors and actresses are like beautiful and handsome and, in great shape and all that stuff. But it's like, if you can't act, I don't really care. So it's a bonus, Samara Weaving can act and she is very pleasant to look at. Like, it would have been cooler in Scream 6 to see her last a little bit longer, but I get it. You're doing the Scream thing, and the first person you see that picks up the phone's got to die. What can you do? Antonis, I've seen the first 3 Hellraiser movies. I really love the first one. I think the first Hellraiser movie is just a quintessential tale of morality, like Edgar Allan Poe. If we could, bring him back and have him watch that movie, he would be like, did I write this? It just really feels like one of those great Edgar Allan Poe stories. I think the effects are incredible in that first movie. I really like how the story is contained and that it's like, kind of a haunted house sort of vibe because you don't really, I know that you leave the house, but it feels like so much of the movie takes place there. And I really enjoy the vibe. I really like that idea of like this forbidden love that is like twisted in so many different ways. The second movie, I think, is really fun. I don't like it as much as the first film just because I like the tone of that first film a little bit more. But I do, like, to be consistent with everything else I talk about, I love that the sequel takes chances and that the sequel doesn't try to rehash the original. Even being able to bring back those characters, but to be able to go into even more supernatural, fantastical direction, I really liked. And then the third film, actually, I didn't think was like really that bad. I thought it was going to be like kind of a bit of a joke. But I really enjoyed that third film. I've only seen the third one once. I guess if I were to rank them, I'd say I like the first one best, second one second best, and the third one third best. But I've missed all the others. All right. And Gavin says Tenebrae is my second favorite giallo behind Blood and Black Lace. You've told me about that one before. Yeah, or maybe I saw that you posted about it or something. I feel like you've mentioned it in another one. I need to watch Tenebrae and I need to watch Blood and Black Lace. So many. And maybe that might be kind of cool, is to like, instead of just trying to bounce all over and watch a bunch of different stuff, let me know in the chat or let me know in the comments if you guys are watching this after the fact. Maybe it would be really cool to do like a focus sort of, hey guys, for the month of September, I'm covering giallo films, like, and then just do a bunch of, maybe even talk about a few in each video. So that way I can pack a bunch in there. And I can reach out to you guys I could do a community post and have you guys drop your suggestions down there, just so I can make sure I'm not missing something. Cause I know giallo is sort of, I feel like it's a pretty contained subgenre. I feel, compared to other subgenres in horror, I don't think there are as many movies that fit into the actual like giallo kind of style. I mean, even a movie like the original Friday the 13th, I think, like, I don't know. I know there's no black gloves, but for the most part, you can kind of consider that first film a giallo movie. It was influenced by Bay of Blood in a big way, which is still one of the most like wacky, fun roller coaster rides of a movie I've ever seen. I need to watch it again because it's been a long time, but I remember the first time I watched it, I could not believe how much fun Bay of Blood was. And just, man, talk about the twists and turns it takes almost the whole way through. Actually, the whole way through. It's like the movie is a series of fucked up twists. Yeah, Tyler, I probably don't watch it enough to really make it worth it, but it's really nice. Like, if I'm doing a review for something and I find out it's on Shudder, it's a really easy way to get those, get some pictures for overlays and, some of the non-exclusives, but it's nice, like around Christmas time, instead of all the Christmas movies being taken off, like I feel like a lot of the other streaming services do that. They're like, yeah, you can watch Christmas Vacation from February to October. And you're like, and then we're going to take it off. I feel like Shudder sort of leans into like, hey, it's this time of year. We're actually getting more of these movies that fit this time of the season. So especially last Christmas, they had a whole bunch. I watched Black Christmas '06 for the first time last year. And I liked it so much that I went back and watched it a couple days later while I was doing that review. I was kind of surprised because I thought it was going to be a total mess. And, certainly there are some elements that didn't work for me. I mean, that's going to happen with like most movies. But I felt like, they did about as good of a job as you can do remaking Black Christmas. And it's kind of a remake, but it's also like a little bit of a sequel in a way, because they bring in a totally new element that wasn't there in the original film. So to me, it sort of feels like a requel to a certain degree. I love the Christmas vibe in Black Christmas '06. Antona says, I can't wait for the Jaws watch along on Saturday. And do you like the song that Quint Hooper and Brody sing at the table on the boat at night? Yes, I love that song. I'm really excited for the watch along as well, Antonis. Jaws is my favorite film of all time. I love it to death. I'm going to try my best to not just sit there and recite all the memorable lines. Although maybe I will a few times. That way you guys know if you're, watching along on the right track with the time and everything. But yeah, really excited to just like kind of, talk about some of the behind the scenes while we're watching the film. And of course, watching it with you guys is great. And yeah, I really like that song that they sing. The show me the way to go home, boom, boom. I'm tired and I want to go to bed. Well, I had a little drink about an hour ago and it got right to my head. Wherever I may roam, by land or sea or foam, you can always hear me singing this song. Show me the way to go home, boom, boom. Oh, yeah. Love that song. I played in a band called Absent Minds in Portland. We did like skate punk kind of stuff. We had a cello instead of a second guitar. And at the end of our record, I recorded and produced our record. And at the end of it, the last song that we have is called SDSDR, and it stands for smoke, drink, sing, drink, repeat. And it's kind of like it's a little bit of a ska song almost, where the cello's kind of like the horns, and it's got a little bit. The chorus had a bit of that swashbuckling kind of piratey feel to it. So I was like, guys, hear me out. Jaws is my favorite movie. Let's use this clip at the very end of the record, so the record closes out with them singing that song, and then the last thing that you hear is like the beeping on the when the barrel comes up. So yeah, really fun. Thank you for that, Antonis. I love when every now and then a comment just pumps you up. And sorry to everyone that you had to listen to me sing. If you didn't enjoy that, I apologize. But you know what? It's my damn channel. Vachi says, start Abigail, bench, long legs, cut, late night. Yeah, Matt, I know you weren't the biggest fan of Late Night with the Devil. Yeah, and I think a little bit of that too. I saw that a lot of folks that watched it in the theater really dug it. And then I saw a lot of people that waited till streaming didn't like it so much. And I think a little bit of that was the overhype. So I think the overhype kind of like, even if you're not like watching a bunch of reviews where people are like, oh my God, just seeing it when you're scrolling or like, however you hear about it. I think that is definitely a thing. I think the overhype that I heard about Abigail did that for me, honestly. So it's interesting to think about how those expectations can sort of like affect the way we feel. And also like, the movie just might not be up your alley. I'd be interested to know what you think though, if you sit down and watch it again. Like if you watch it a second time, like, do you feel different about it or do you feel the same? Because I usually, like I might enjoy, there are a lot of times where I enjoy a movie so much more the second time, especially if there's like things that you can miss. Like I feel like Late Night with the Devil and Long Legs both have a bunch of stuff that you can miss. They've said what Osgood Birkin says, there's like a dozen or so shots of the actual devil in Long Legs that are like hidden. And there were a couple I saw when I watched it, but when you're watching on a big screen, you're kind of like paying attention. It's sort of tough to catch every little thing. So I can't wait to watch Long Legs again and really just kind of get to go through it. It's funny, when Kate and I drove home from the theater, I told her, I was like, I really enjoyed that movie, but I don't know if I don't know if I need it in the collection. Like it might be one of those movies I only need to watch like every few years. And then in the review, she was like, I don't think I ever need to see it again, but it was really good. And then the next day we woke up and both of us were like, can't stop thinking about that movie. Need to see that movie again. Gavin just got Umbrella's release of The Raid. Their stuff is beautiful. Yeah, man, I saw that post. I thought I saw your story. Yeah, that looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to get this box set. My parents got it for me for my birthday back in May, but it doesn't ship until I think it's like the last week of September. So I got to stop thinking about Late Night with the Devil. So maybe I shouldn't have named my weekly late night show Late Night with the Davey. I mean, it's staring me right in the face. Have a great night, Eli. Really appreciate you coming out and hanging out, bud. I know you're probably gone by now because it's been quite some time since you wrote that chat. Wow, I'm so far behind. I'm just like pontificating on every little thing. It's absurd. Tyler's pumped for the Jaws watch along as well. Tenebrae and Deep Red are Argentos. That's tough to say. Whew. You know where I get that from? I get it from Bob Ross. I love watching Bob Ross on YouTube. ASMR, man. I get it big time. Tingles all over. The Baba message was for Danger Diabolic. Gotcha. Okay. Antonis, so hyped for your Halloween 2009 video next month. That's how you earned my subscription in the first place. That one's going to be really cool. I think we're going to do so. Yeah. I've got Cody Leach penciled in for Wednesday, August 28th, which is the actual 15th anniversary. And then the weekend before that, I'm planning a live, and I think it's going to be on Drum Dum's channel. So I reached out to Lee and Nick from the Lost River Drive-In because we're all really big fans of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And so I think the stream is going to be over there on Lee's channel because we want to cast the widest net. We want to get as many people watching as we can. And Lee has been doing this for a really long time. He's one of the first YouTubers that I really got into and one of the guys that, made me want to do what I do here. So, I mean, super special to be able to put that together. And yeah, maybe just like you, Antonis, maybe some folks will be like, I'll give this Davey Deathray guy a shot, because of Halloween too. And then there's probably some people that are going to jump in the comments and be like, this movie's trash, which is fine too. Still going to do movie punks, Raymond. Yep. Boz and I will do movie punks every once a month. We'll do that. Yeah. Aaron says, sorry about all the Ed Wood talk, but would you consider it for a watch along comment? Yeah, I think so. I think I would, especially, sometimes what influences those, Aaron, is like if it's on a streaming service that's like pretty popular, like with Jaws, like I'm sure a lot of people have Peacock or people own the movies themselves. Like I have both. Well, I have the first 2 Jaws. I don't have 3 or 4 in, physical media. But that was one of the influencers on that one. And then, thinking about the time of year, of course. Yeah. So Ed Wood, I'm not sure if it's streaming anywhere, but it's certainly, on the table for sure. I mean, Kate and I both love it. So let's revisit that. Hit me up with a DM so I don't forget, or drop a comment on one of my videos. Even if you go check out the Rad 9 video and you want to drop a comment there where I talk about it, that'll be great. And then that way I can save that and make sure I don't miss it. Ready or Not is a great time. More resounding endorsements. Carbonite, what's happening? How are you doing? Great to see ya. Chris Snyder from Movie Misfit says Ready or Not is awesome. I gotta check it out. Everyone's talking about that. Oh yeah, like when Adam Brody shows up and stuff. Yeah, I like Adam Brody too. In my 20s, I dated somebody that watched the OC, so I saw a lot of those episodes. And I think that guy's pretty damn funny. I really like him in Scream 4. I love Scream 4. Speaking of Chris Snyder, I love Scream 4. First 3 are great. So is 2022. Skip the rest. Oh yeah. Are you first 3 are great? Skip which movie was I talking about there? I'm trying to think back in time. Gonna go back in time. Oh, Hellraiser. Yeah, I heard the 2022 one's pretty good. Hellraiser 3 touches me deep in my innards. Yeah, I enjoyed Hellraiser 3 quite a bit. Yeah, I know I'm way behind, guys. Let's see if I can just sort of catch up. 24 likes so far. Aaron Click is a big rewatcher. Oh, yeah. Chris Snyder likes Black Christmas 06. Yeah, fun, goofy. Yeah, to me, it works. The explosive, abruptly explosive blood splatter in that movie is really damn fun. I like that. Every shot of the blood explosion, oh, so good. And starting out with that really cool song, is it K Star, I think is her name, the Man with the Bag. That's wow. I mean, the first shot of that or I guess it's not the first shot, right? Because the first shot is the first kill is in there. But then when they actually cut to the house and you see the house like with the Christmas lights on and it, playing, everybody's waiting for the Man with the Bag. It just feels like such a love letter to the original there. And I only wish that the was it the Weinsteins that produced that one that kind of mucked it all up? Whoever was producing that movie really screwed that movie up, because I could tell that the filmmaker has a great love for Black Christmas and was trying to do the right damn thing. And you can tell that he was jerked around and that his movie was messed with. And that stuff always pisses me off. Luckily, we don't get as much of that now because there's so much discord going around when movies are being made that people would be held accountable. It would become part of the story and part of the publicity, and it would sort of stain the movie. So usually I feel like nowadays they make sure that when they pick a director, they pick somebody that they know they can take the leash off of, let them just run. Let's see here. Let's see, Detective Hoffman and Jamie. Yeah, I saw that, Chris. So you're gonna meet him. That's really cool. I know you're a huge Saw guy. I saw Detective Hoffman at Days of the Dead out here a few weeks ago. I should have gone up and gotten a picture with him and sent it to you, but I was being bashful. I was also working Cecil's horror show channel table, so I didn't want to, run around the whole entire time and not be there. The voice of an angel. Oh my goodness. Yeah, greatest villains ever. And Chris says, yeah. Yeah, I need to watch all those Saw movies. I've seen like the first three. It's like Hellraiser. Only seen the first three. Oh, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. You were really good, man. Thank you so much, Raymond. Thank you. I imagine you're talking to me. I don't know. Chris says, I like Late Night with the Devil, but it's not my number one this year. Haven't seen Long Legs yet, but can't wait. Abigail is currently my favorite of the year. Yeah, I don't know what it's so tough to put, like, I feel like I've talked about it so much here on the channel with Abigail. I should just watch it again and do an actual review, right? I thought about, because I did a review with Cecil after we went and saw it at the pre-screening, and I thought about doing like a spoiler review just to like go a little bit more into my thoughts and my criticisms. Maybe it would be fun though to like watch it when it comes out on physical media, or is it out already? Maybe it is. Maybe I just need to rewatch it again and then put together like a, hey guys, here's my thoughts. Although you guys have already heard it a million times, so who am I making the video for? Maybe it could be a good clickbaity kind of thing. What do you guys think? Clickbait? I wish, Tyler. Unfortunately, I don't think I am gonna see it tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe I can talk Kate into it. She's at a Kenny Chesney concert tonight and having a sleepover with one of her friends. So I'm not gonna see Kate until sometime tomorrow. Having a little bachelor night. So you know what that means. I'm gonna go get myself some food that I shouldn't be eating and stay up too late. And just do whatever the hell I want. I was going to say fart as loud as I want to, but I do that already. So Raymond says, is Long Legs the type of movie you need to keep an eye on the background? I don't think you need to. That's the cool thing, is the story is so well told. But certainly from everything I've read, there are some little, like, not like clues, but just like little flashes of things that you may miss that first time watching the movie. You're not going to like, it's like somewhat procedural as far as the story goes, which I think is a good thing, because you're not trying to wrap your mind around some like, convoluted story. But the movie is dripping with mood and atmosphere, as Dave McRae would say. But it's just so beautifully shot. It's so well acted. I really enjoyed it. I don't want to say anything too spoilery. I would be so surprised though if somebody told me they were a fan of film and they told me that they didn't like it. I can understand if someone's like, it's not really like my thing. That's fair. But if someone was like, that's a bad movie, I'd be like, what the hell are you saying? Because I think, like, as far as the technical aspect goes of it, the way it's crafted, I think it's crafted really well. And I think the performances are there. There's not one performance to me that stood out as not being excellent. And like, I think it's the kind of movie that could win awards. Yeah. And we're going to now's the time to take a big chance and just, oh, there it is. We got that mountain there, a big mountain there. And you got to take some chances. There's something about Bob Ross. Love him to death. Chris loves H2 and he's a mod on Lee's channel. So that's going to be fun. That will be a great one, Chris. I'm really looking forward to it, man. I'm going to be like sweating bullets, nervous, I'll be with the big guns, I think it's really cool, another testament to how welcoming everyone's been in the community. Chris, you as well, collaborating with me, being one of the first people to reach out and do a collaboration with me, or, start putting that together. Really enjoy what you do over there at your channel. And it's just amazing how, I'm sitting here, I'm not even at 800 subs, and to be able to have those guys be like, sounds like a great idea, let's do it. That's awesome, because I would have done something for the 15th anniversary anyways, because I really enjoy it and I'm a Halloween guy, and I probably need to start covering that a little bit more on the channel, in a effort to be a little bit more true to myself, because I love those films so much. And also, every horror channel needs some good Halloween content, right? So I would have done it anyways. It's just so amazing that those guys are willing to spend that time doing that with me. Boom. The OC is such a fun show. Yeah, it kind of gets off the rail. The end gets sort of depressing, but I know what you mean. Like, I didn't hate watching it when I watched it. I mean, I was in my early 20s. It was totally a different time. I don't think I could watch it now. But I get what you're saying, Nicholas. I don't think it's a bad show by any stretch. Yeah. Ed Wood should be on Disney Plus. Oh, okay. I don't have Disney Plus, but I have a copy of the film, so we could still watch it. And anyone that has Disney Plus can tune in for a little Ed Wood action. What's happening, Frank? Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews is going to be our guest next week, guys. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. We'll get that thumbnail out here soon. I'll build the stream so you guys can set that notification bell. Ding! And you can check us out next week. Frank is a guy whose channel I've been checking out lately. I see him popping up all over the place. Other than just DMs, though, never, talk to him or anything like that. Again, like a lot of these guests, I think it's so much fun to just bring somebody on the show and be like, all right, let's see if we vibe. Like, let's talk about what you do. Let's talk about, our common interests, and let's see how it rolls. And sometimes, like last week, it goes for 2.5 hours with Mark from Tales from the Shelf. That was wild. I'll say, Antonis, between action movies and sci-fi movies, I would pick sci-fi movies. I like a good sci-fi movie with action element. And I don't dislike action movies. They can certainly be fun. Not something I gravitate towards, though. Maybe when I was younger, a little bit. There you go. Jamie says Saw's her favorite horror franchise. That's awesome. I need to get more deep into it because I know there's so much love, so much lore. And I love how, everything that I've been seeing from Chris and what he's been putting together is like, this is this story, this massive story that's all intertwined. It seems to be one of the most consistent as far as canon goes for horror films, especially a horror franchise. So that's really cool. And you know what? Another thing too is like, it's always awesome to have franchises, especially in something like horror. So I applaud everybody behind the Saw movies because they kept it going when there wasn't really anything out there quite like it. So kudos to them. There you go. All right. Nicholas says it's out already. It's probably on one of the 15 streaming services I have too. So guys, I'm probably going to go for like a few more minutes because my voice is like, especially after singing for you. Let's see here. Watched Hitman and enjoyed it. Okay, maybe I should check it out. That's the Glenn Powell Netflix movie, right? Gavin says I was going to watch the entire Saw franchise, but then halfway through the first one, I almost fell asleep with a cig in my mouth. Oh my God, and burned my house down. You did burn your house down or almost burnt your house down? Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's funny. I was watching tomorrow night, guys. Tomorrow night, let me situate myself. I'm going to be on Good Real Hunting on that channel. I'm not sure if you guys sub over there, but you should give them a sub. I love their content. Their interaction with the chat is really what inspires me to interact with you guys as much as I do. I think they're even better at it. They've got 2 guys, so they can really fly through there. They have an amazing community that they've built up. And I'm going to be on that channel tomorrow guesting with Braden Timmons. You guys know Braden from one of the first episodes of Late Night with the Davey. He's also the director of the Haddonfield Nightmare and right now working on The Last Nightmare Part 1, which are legacy sequels, fan film legacy sequels to H2O. So I'm really pumped to be appearing with him over there. We're going to watch A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors and do a little watch along. So yeah, tune in. That is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern is when that starts. And I was watching the movie last night just to like take it all in again. I watched it in May for my ranking, for my A Nightmare on Elm Street ranking. But I'm just like, I need to watch this again so that way I can be kind of on during the watch along, be able to work in my comments where I see fit. And Gavin, yeah, going back to your comment, I fell asleep at the very end and I'm like, man, bad movie franchise to fall asleep during. Nightmare on Elm Street, falling asleep on the couch. I almost fell right through it. Antona said, I will watch your Terrifier 3 teaser trailer reaction ready tonight. No spoilers. Yeah, no spoilers. Even the trailer itself is like a bunch of quick cuts. I don't think the trailer really gives anything away. So I think you can watch. It's only a minute long. And my video is like less than 5 minutes long. So yeah, short and sweet. There you go, Chris and Jamie. That's not what I was laughing at. I was actually laughing at This one, lots of farting, lots of belly button action for no reason. Sorry, Kate. Just I'll let my shirt just like climb up as I just slouch even further into disgustingness. Everyone's saying what's up. The cinematic language. Crunch one out. Go crunch one out. Frank says, saw Oddity yesterday and had to see it again tonight. I've been hearing some stuff about that movie, Frank. I haven't seen it, but I've been hearing some stuff. I try to avoid like reviews and stuff just in case I end up wanting to see it and I don't want to like have any expectations or anything like that. But I've been seeing some really good things. I saw a thumbnail that's like better than Long Legs. I wonder if that was Sinister Cinema. I'm like, that's a good little clickbaity thing. Everyone's gonna click on that. Gavin says Micah's performance was stiff as fuck. I know her role called for it, but she didn't do well. Nick saved another movie yet again. See, I think that Lee Harker is supposed to be like somewhere on like the autistic spectrum. So I think like the stiffness was, like you said, the role called for it. Like that's what I took from it. I really enjoyed like her intense breathing when she walked around. That was one of those things. Like, I don't know. I've never seen Micah Monroe in a movie before. That was my very first time seeing her in anything. And she impressed me. And I think that she could get nominated for that one. I mean, just my opinion. Sweating bullets. Yeah, little Megadeth action there from Tyler Adams. Hello, me. It's me again. And my misfit way of life. Right? Something like that. Am I going to get flagged for that? Who knows? All right, let's see if we can run through some of these. Not a big fan of RZH2, but I rewatched it to hang with you guys. Yeah, and so the video with Nick and Lee, we're just going to be like celebrating the film. We're going to be talking about our first time experiences, how our opinions have changed on the film, like how that love has grown. What about the film really works for us? Probably talk about some of the stuff that doesn't work so well. I mean, there's certainly moments in RZ's H2 that don't do it for me, but by and large, I really love that movie. So yeah, it'll be really cool. We'll just be talking about it. So, and then, maybe sometime Kate and I will do a little watch along. Who knows? Raymond saw Frank on my first horror movie on Sledgehammer Horror. Yeah, me too. That's love those guys over there at Sledgehammer Horror. They are awesome. There you go. Chris is working on that deep dive analysis and timeline like a Bible for the world of Saw. He studied it and love it and appreciates the world and lore so much. That's awesome, man. I think that you're like the way that you feel about that franchise, like it's juicing me up about the franchise to where I'm like, I need to watch all those movies. Like I need to start from the beginning and just watch everything. Yeah. Almost, but damn, dude, that is scary. Yeah. Falling asleep with a cigarette in your mouth seems like one of the more dangerous things you could have happen. We're the Dream Warriors. Yep. One of a lot of people say that's their favorite, or maybe the second favorite to the first one. Yeah, we might be a little, let's see. I would imagine we might be done by that point because I think usually how it works on those streams, Gavin, they run for an hour 45, maybe 2 hours max, but you can always catch it on the replay for sure. Yeah, it should be a fun time. Oh, I bet it did. It's 80s is all get out. Some of the music's pretty corny in Dream Warriors. Not the songs in the soundtrack, but the actual like score. Nicholas wants to know if I've ever smoked cigarettes. Yeah. Yep. When I was 21, you could still smoke in the bars in Alaska. And I was dating a girl that was like way out of my league, and she smoked Camel Turkish Gold cigarettes. And so, hanging out with her at the bar, and everyone's smoking around me anyways. My clothes are going to smell like it. I'm going to breathe it in anyway. So I would enjoy one. Maybe bought a handful of packs in my life, usually give most of them away. I found, especially back in my 20s, it was like, because I never, had a craving or an addiction for it, it would always give me that like, an added buzz. But I enjoy smoking cigars in the winter here in Phoenix. When it's cool enough to hang out outside, I do enjoy a cigar once a week or something, kind of fun. I do, cannabis every day for sure. I need to see Watcher and Significant Other with Micah Monroe. I've heard really good things about Watcher. Yeah, man, the list just keeps on growing. I need to watch that other Osgood Perkins movie, The Black Coat's Daughter. I need to see that. Yeah. You guys are excellent at reminding me though and encouraging me. I love you guys for that. Aaron thinks Micah did really well or did well. Yeah. There you go, Aaron. I think you and I might have been saying that on Dave's channel the other day when he did his talk about it, because I think that's why she's got that smoky monotone voice. It looks like she just can't really relate with other people. She sort of gets like lost in her work. That's like, and then also like almost kind of like, I think they call it like savant, like idiot savant kind of thing, where it's like she's got that almost like special. Well, I don't want to say anything because Chris is in here and he hasn't seen it. But maybe there's something else going on there. Definitely some bumps in the road for the Saw franchise. Yeah, they all have them, man. I mean, you can't do a horror franchise without an entry or two that are like, what the hell was that? But it seems like what Saw's been able to do, or they're like, you know what? That last movie or those last couple of movies, we know you guys didn't like them. We're going to do like a prequel that actually like sort of explains why those things happen the way that they did. So it's almost like they do a little bit of retconning, but with the way the story has always kind of done that weaving, it's like the retconning doesn't feel like retconning. I don't know. I could be talking out of my ass just because I gather what people say about the franchise. I'm not nearly, not as familiar with it by a long shot as you are. Dream Warriors, Freddy's Revenge, then the original for Chris. Yeah, I think for me, it's original New Nightmare and then Dream Warriors. And then I think it would be part 4 after that. I really like part 4. Gavin smokes a pack a day. He's going to age. Yes, you're going to age like one of those old time. It's great when Hollywood gets back to that, Gavin, they're going to call you up. They're going to be like, dude, here's the thing. We need somebody that's not afraid to walk into a room full of smoke. And you'll be like, dude, I'm so there. And I'll triangle choke the shit out of Michael Myers. That would be fun to see, right? Old-timey Michael Myers walks into a smoke-filled bar and gets choked out by Gavin. I would buy a ticket for that. I'd buy that for $1. Tyler says, heck, and any of these you want to do a watch along on, I'm down. Yeah, well, and maybe like I would want to watch it a couple times before doing a watch along. A first time watch along would be kind of interesting. But yeah, maybe. You know what? We'll see. Let's unlock the membership. Let's unlock that YouTube membership. I need about 400 more hours of public watch hours is what they call them. And those are getting eaten up, quicker and quicker as the days go. So I feel like we're maybe a couple weeks away from that. But let's unlock those memberships and then we can do some really fun stuff where you guys get to, only members get to vote on like a movie we do for a watch along, right? And we could do one that's like, we could do a first time watch, right? We could call it like there was a show that Kate and I wanted to do called Seen and Unseen, where it's like, seen like a scene in a movie and then unseen, like I can't unsee it. Where we could do that, where it could be like a first time watch, or maybe one of us hasn't seen it before or whatever. That'd be fun. Yeah. Let's unlock those memberships and get into some really fun shit, guys. That would be great. All right, y'all. I've been at it for 2 hours and 32 minutes, so I am gonna hop off here. There we go. Chris says not retconning, really just adding more layers. Okay. So finding a way to sort of explain some of the stuff. Gotcha. Not a fan of smoking anything. My body's wimpy. Yeah, no, I hear you. And Jamie's like, I smoke, but shh, it's a secret. All right. Micah has proven to be one hell of a talent. Yeah. No, I mean, she's got me convinced, and Osgood's got me. Whatever he does, I'll be there. Osgood Perkins could direct The Room Part 2, and I would watch it. Triangle choking Michael with a there you go. I can picture it. That's cool. Where's Necromechanimal when you need him to put together a poster for you? Don't smoke cigarettes like my skin. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. No hate to anyone that smokes. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, if that's something you do and, you reach that point where you want to get that health back and get out of that, I totally get it. But yeah, there was a time and place for it for me. There was a time when I was 21 where I really liked going outside during the winter and drinking a cup of coffee and smoking a Camel filter. You know, there's just something about it. It was a time in my life where it felt romantic to me in a way. But not something I did every day. I was very fortunate. I never was like, "Ooh, I need a cigarette." I was always like, that sounds like a good thing to have with coffee." Or like, "I've had a couple beers, maybe I'll take a drag or two." You know? Gavin says, "Nicholas, I have beautiful skin even with a pack a day." Absolutely. All right. Yeah, it has been great hanging with you guys. Really appreciate everyone for coming out. We've still got 7 people in the chat, even though I've been saying goodbye for like 15 minutes and talking about nothing really that important, just farting and exposing my belly button, you know, all that kind of stuff. And Tyler says only 2.5 hours till Thursday. Yeah, not going to happen for me this time around, Tyler. But yes, Aaron, that's true. Everyone has a vice of some kind. I don't trust people that don't have a vice or two, right? If somebody doesn't have a vice or two, you know what that means? It probably means they have like one really big one that they're hiding from you, and it's probably really fucked up. So be cautious of those that act like they don't have any vices or say they don't have any vices, because we all do. After all, we're only human. You guys have been beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Late Night with the Davey. Want to thank my guest Daniel from the Cobwebs channel one more time. You guys can find his channel and his Instagram in the links in the description below. I also want to remind you guys that Gotham Noir is on Indiegogo. If you pledged to it before you were reimbursed, you can head on over to Indiegogo. We're giving it another shot. Everything we earn from this campaign will be used on the film, because Indiegogo doesn't have an all or nothing agreement like Kickstarter did. So really appreciate you guys once more. Don't forget to hit the click button. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out some of the vids I put out lately. We did the Rad 9 challenge of movies of 1994. Kate and I did that review of Longlegs a couple weeks ago. So Chris, once you see the movie, you can check out our review. We also reviewed Intruder from 1989. That was a Patreon request from Gavin. Thank you so much for being a great patron, Gavin. And then I did a trailer reaction to Joker Folie à Deux trailer 2 and Terrifier 3's teaser that dropped today. Check them out. I'll see you guys sometime later this week. Hey, I'll see some of you tomorrow if you hop on over to Good Real Hunting's channel. I'll share that on my community page so you can find the link. And yeah, guys, until next time, I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray.